Today we have a very special guest, a stand-up legend, actor, writer, played at Boston College, tight end, folks. Massachusetts native.
My name is Gary Gulman.
Gary Gulman. Gary Gulman.
Ladies and gentlemen, Gary Gulman.
Gary Gulman in studio. We're looking at the Squish The Fish game, the 1985 AFC Championship between New England Patriots and Miami Dolphins.
The AFC Championship, whoever would have believed in the early part of the season that the Patriots would be here?
There's no way we're going to beat Miami. We were happy to make the playoffs. We had not won a game in Miami in 18 years. That's my entire lifetime. There was a feeling of momentum and destiny, but I'm getting the chills.
I'm getting the chills that you remember that.
It was the Super Bowl for us.
Games with Names is a production of iHeartRadio. Welcome to Games with Names, presented by WynnBET. And on today's episode, we are talking the 1985 AFC Championship between the New England Patriots and those Miami Dolphins with Gary Gulman. Good episode. Patriots before Tom Brady talk. The reason New Englanders are so funny. Not just the eyes. Other reasons.
It's because they're miserable.
They're happily miserable, Kyler.
There
They
it
are
is.
happily miserable just like I am. I am one of you, New England. You are one of me. We are together in harmony. And that's what we like to call the transition to the next segment of what we're talking about in this episode. The transition of Gary Gulman from football to comedy. Guy played at BC.
Flawless transition.
BC.
Go Eagles.
Doug Flutie, BC. A lot of awesome BC talk. And then we wrap it up with taking in some of the phone lines and finally narrowing it down to naming the studio.
We'll come to a consensus. A consensus may be met.
Is it met or are we doing a poll?
We got a little bit of everything.
All right, let's see, man. It's a fun episode.
Hell yeah, let's get into it.
Make sure you check out Games with Names on YouTube, Instagram, X, Snapchat, and TikTok at Games with Names. Subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcasts. Comment a game you want us to do. And remember, rate
And review.
Call in at 424-291-2290. 424-291-2290. Leave a message for some great game recs. Tell us some of your old war stories, some iconic games, some bar stories, or whatever. Just call in. We've been getting a lot of great calls on this line.
Our fans are wild.
Our fans are awesome.
We love them.
Okay, my mom used to say when I would come home and the kid would call me weird, I say, Mom, I'm weird. And she'd say, we all have a little of our own weird.
Angie's so wise.
So wise. Games with Names is brought to you by WynnBET. WynnBET brings the excitement of Wynn Las Vegas and Encore Boston Harbor to your phone. Join WynnBET today and bet with the official online gaming product from Wynn Resorts. Let's go. January 12th, 1986, Miami Orange Bowl Stadium, Miami, Florida.
Don Shula and Dan Marino are a game away from heading back to the Super Bowl.
But the scrappy Road Warriors from New England had other plans.
This is the Squish the Fish game.
Welcome to Games with Names, presented by WynnBET. Today we have a very special guest, Gary Gulman in studio, a stand-up legend, actor, writer, avid hooper, played at Boston College, tight end, folks. Massachusetts native and born on third base, is on Max right now. His memoir, Misfits, Growing Up Awkward in the 80s, is out also. Check it out. Welcome to Games with Names, Gary.
Thanks for having me. I'm honored. I've been a fan of yours for a long time. I've been. We were talking about this earlier. In awe of your transition from Kent State University quarterback to a renowned receiver and a legendary Man, because I'm a Peabody, Massachusetts guy, so and a huge Patriots fan and I can't wait to get into this from the time I was 6 or 7 years old, and the embarrassment of riches that you and your teammates brought to us, that New England fans, as you know, will never appreciate because they're so spoiled. But we grew up with just, we were happy to make the playoffs. And it wasn't considered a failure if we didn't blow out the opposing team in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, now we had an unbelievable run.
Yes,
but with what you just said there, you started out as a fan at 6 years old, right? And I came to Boston in 2009. Patriots had 3 Super Bowls on their belt.
Yeah,
Celtics just won a championship. The Bruins were fighting. The Red Sox just did the whole crazy kit and caboodle thing in 2003. So the city was vibrant with sport. Yeah. It was like sports. There's no fall, winter, spring. It's baseball season, football season, hockey season, or baseball season. Now, in those tiers, when I got there, we were kind of, we were flirting with the top of the city.
Yes.
Just because we were all so good and we had Tom Brady.
Yes.
In whatever year that was when you were 6 years old. Where did the Patriots
1976
rank in that era?
I think
they had to have been 4 because it was a big Sox town, big Celtics town, and then the cult following of the Bruins is always the Bruins.
They were 4, but because they were the only thing on Sunday, if they sold out. That's what, I don't know if you ever knew about this, but if the Patriots didn't sell out, they would black out the game on television to sell tickets. That's where the NFL was at the time. So we would root, because we couldn't afford to go to Foxborough and pay the parking and go to the game. So we would pray that the people with money would go to the games so that we could watch it instead of listening to it we would listen to it on the radio, which is not the same. And so in 1976, I think it was, whenever I started watching football, all anybody wanted to talk about was how the year before we almost beat the Raiders, but we got robbed and Stabler had gotten away with something. So that's what I grew up in, and that we had. What you have to understand about Boston fans is that for most of our lives, other than the Celtics, we were living this thing where we were going to be heartbroken. It was just a matter of how. It was very similar to growing up Jewish. Yeah. Not our history. Was that something horrible was going to happen, just not sure when and what it'll be.
The Jewish worries, folks.
Yeah, and that was the thing with the Red Sox and the Patriots, that they would break your heart, and you were taught at a very early age, don't go all in because it's Charlie Brown trying to kick the football. And then
they'll pull that thing.
By the time you got there, everybody was so used to winning that it became, I don't know, I hope you didn't listen to talk radio, but the most miserable Monday morning people, even if the Patriots would win, they didn't win by enough, and they had weaknesses that they were going to talk about for hours on Monday. Man, and so I at least over the years have been so grateful for what the teams have brought me, but I think a lot of the newcomers got spoiled.
Oh, I mean, it's a different beast now. In that, I mean, that's Titletown.
Yes,
and that's been built over 30 years, and you've been a part of that town before it was Titletown.
Yeah,
I mean, you still had the Celtics that had the 8 championships, and
and we had Doug Flutie at Boston College, who captured the hearts at about the time we're going to talk about today about the Miami Patriots game. But we rallied around that Boston College football team because they were winning in a way that the Red Sox and the Patriots hadn't done.
They went out and won a national championship that year, right?
They won the Cotton Bowl.
They
won the Cotton Bowl and the Miracle Miami. Miracle Miami. And then so they were ranked 3rd in the country, which was one of the highest rankings in my lifetime. I think when they had Matty Ice, I think they were ranked 3rd at one point.
Second.
I was at that game. They played Virginia Tech.
Oh, really?
Yeah, when Matt Ryan lost his Heisman. Sorry.
By the way, that's Kyler. He's part of our show.
I meant Kyler. And his prominent beard earlier today. Yeah.
Whenever Virginia Tech talk comes up, I have to chime in. So continue. Sorry.
No, I get it. I understand. And so, yeah, that was my history with the sports and yeah.
So let's get into it. Today we're looking at the Squish the Fish game. The 1985 AFC Championship between the New England Patriots and the 70s Miami Dolphins. Dan Marino, Miami Dolphins.
I know.
Team that only beat the 85 Bears.
Yeah.
That year.
Yeah.
Miami Dolphins.
Yeah.
So why we pick this game, Gary?
Well, I think I live in the past to a great extent, and if you see my book, you'll be confused, but also sort of amazed by my memory of my childhood. Like going back to my first day of kindergarten, I can remember the different lunch boxes that were used and the kids and things that were said. So the games as big as the 85, and I think it took place in January of 1986. I think it was the 85-86 season. So the Patriots had been promising every year. They had good players, and that's the thing that I think a lot of people miss out on if you have a winning team, is that you're in love with the team. But when you have a losing team over the years, you fall in love with certain players, and it's a very nice community. And I think the players appreciate that. They're expected to do their best, and that they're there for a long time, and you love them. And so we were in love with guys who had been on that team. There was one guy, Julius Adams, who had been on the team. It felt like my entire life. And then Anthony Collins and Andre Tippett.
Jew.
Yes.
Convert.
Yes.
I
wish he had
he's a
gone
black
all
belt
the
too, by
I
the
know.
way.
I wish he had gone all the way into the Hasidism, because I think that would be a great look on him. He is a black belt, and did we love Tippett, because if you don't have a whole team of superstars, you cling to these superstars like Andre Tippett, who just was doing what he did on that team. And Steve Nelson was a very special player who had been there his entire career. So we just loved these guys.
And it was Grogan and Levy, or who was the other quarterback?
Eason was the quarterback in this game, and I think he had been a Heisman like finalist at I think Illinois, but he was a wonderful player and very charismatic. And Grogan had been with us his entire career, and we adored him, and he was very talented, but they could just never get over the hump, and they had bad breaks. And so when they were making this run, they beat the Raiders, which was like this redemption, because the Raiders had broken our hearts, and we hated the Raiders like we hated the Yankees.
And the Raiders were a good football team.
They were amazing.
That was John Madden Raiders.
Yes, they were amazing, and it might have been a team with like Alzado and Matuzak, maybe. I'm not sure who the Raiders personnel was that year, but I do remember that the Miami Dolphins were a rival, sort of like the Yankees, but also the Raiders everybody was the Yankees to us, because we were constantly being upset by these teams, and we had not won a game in Miami in 18 years. That's my entire lifetime. I had never seen them beat Miami in because I was 15 when this whole thing happened. And the other thing, and I don't know if you felt this way because you were playing and probably distracted by other things, but it was like an extra holiday if the Patriots were competitive back then. Like everybody in the community would get so excited, and there were parties, and so it was like another Christmas that year, especially. And here's the other thing: we were kind of like, all right, our Super Bowl was beating the Raiders. There's no way we're going to beat Miami. And then, my word, and the only thing with the Squish the Fish is that there are New Englanders who are still confused by the dolphin not being a fish. That
it's a mammal technically.
It's technically a mammal, and I think we could have a very interesting argument with a lot of older New Englanders as to whether Squish the Fish was an accurate portrayals of the dolphin's taxonomy.
I mean, you telling me a Charlie from Somerville?
Charlie in the car. Let's go to Charlie in the car.
Charlie in the car in Somerville knows that a dolphin's not a fish. Like, nah, a fish is a dolphin.
Does it swim in the ocean?
It's a fish.
It's a fish. It's a fish. Does it go good with rice and soy sauce? It's a fish, kid.
Let's
don't get to smarten up.
So we have a segment. We'll get back into the game.
Okay.
But we have a segment. We go back into time. January 12th.
I'm very good at this.
1986, of course, because it's the 85 season, but it's the playoffs, so that means it's in January. And the number one movie was Out of Africa. Did you ever see this movie?
Never saw it because it seemed too smart for me at the time. I was like, this is an artsy-fartsy movie, and it's probably playing in Lexington. It's probably playing in Richie Rich, Lexington.
I don't know that one. I don't know where that is.
Lexington is a very affluent community, and in the movie, the fighter, they go to a movie in Lexington because he doesn't want anybody from Lowell to see him.
Okay.
And his girlfriend says, "Why are we going to Richie Rich Lexington to see a movie?" And they were seeing La Belle Epoque, which was a French subtitled movie. Anyhow, I'm giving too much information. Out of Africa, I never saw because at 15, I only saw movies that had like Ferris Bueller or Michael J. Fox in them at that age.
I think
right?
Rocky IV comes out
Oh,
in a couple months, and
the
that's
greatest.
Like,
The greatest.
I know it's not the itsy fotsy
Yeah.
Rocky.
Yeah,
but like
it's so,
I was a kid.
It's so
this
watch-
was the action
yeah,
80s.
It's so watchable. But here's the thing. I think we're coming up on like maybe it'll be 50 years in 2026 of the most watched title fight of all time, Creed versus Balboa. One. Yeah.
I mean that was a great movie.
Nobody gave Balboa a chance
Ever.
and he took him 15 rounds.
He was a mob enforcer. I mean, this guy's going to go to beat the champ.
He's a leg breaker for a second-rate loan shark.
Rock, we got to get some speed. Speed is what we need, Rock. What's your favorite Rocky movie?
Rocky 1.
Rocky 1?
Yeah, I've definitely seen it over 100 times, and I think every performance and every line in it is so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that.
But Rocky, they're all so watchable.
Rocky 5 was the worst one, but I still loved it.
Yeah, it's the worst. I loved it too.
I loved
Yeah,
it.
the Tony Morrison, right?
Yeah. But I was also younger. Like when you're a kid.
Oh yeah. You're
So,
not.
like, I'm
you're
not
not thinking about
understanding-
plot holes. Yeah.
So I remember first seeing Rocky 4. It was like America versus Russia, underdog. Like that's literally inspired my playoff beard.
Wow.
Was when Rocky went to Russia and he didn't want any distraction and he just had the Russian in the mirror.
He just wanted to drag large
That's all he
cords
wanted.
of wood. Yeah.
Yeah, so that was kind of like where I started
I
growing
love
my
that.
beard from.
That is awesome, man.
And I
Was
loved
there a
Rocky III.
movie that you would watch repeatedly during a season to psych yourself up, or a song or anything like that?
Yes, there was in college.
Okay.
In college, I would watch Rudy.
Wow.
Yeah, and
But here's my issue with Rudy. I always felt so sorry for the walk-ons that I was like, why are you getting at least
The
we're
Vince
on
Vaughn?
scholarship.
the Vince Vaughn character,
Yeah,
he's
yeah,
like,
yeah.
my dad
Yeah.
made me come here.
Yeah. Well, at least we're getting a scholarship. You're doing this out of love of this
Yeah.
game that is kicking your ass every day.
Those
I
people
mean, I
love it.
admire it, but I often felt sorry for them.
Yeah, it was for me. I would get so fired. I don't know why.
No,
I
it's a
would get
great
very
movie.
fired up. I loved the soundtrack.
Yes,
It,
it's
like,
awesome, and I
made
love
my-
I love Favreau in it.
Yes.
Yeah, so
the
good.
tutor.
Yeah,
And then I the grind part of him.
totally.
Trying out for the team. I don't know why. I used
No,
to watch that thing.
it's incredibly inspiring.
I love that
get
movie.
it. I
And
get
then
it completely.
It comes out that the guy wasn't anything like that. Like I talked to Montana over at a party
Really?
once. I was like, "Yo,
Oh my
I love
gosh.
this Rudy movie." He's like, "Oh, Rudy, Rocky,
Oh,
that's
that's-
a slap dick." I'm like, "Oh,
Oh, that's hilarious. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I've never heard a good story about the actual Rudy.
No,
Only
I haven't either.
yeah.
it was a great movie, Hollywood,
Oh,
Hollywood."
Disney, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
the number one song was "That's What Friends Are For."
Yeah, that was a very lovely
by
song.
Dion and Friends.
Yeah. One of her friends was Elton John.
Elton John,
Dionne Warwick, Elton John,
Stevie Wonder.
Stevie Wonder.
Stevie Wonder.
I mean, that was kind of a.
It was kind of like the We Are the World, but I
Yes.
think for the HIV/AIDS, I think maybe.
Was this
yeah,
for
but it
AIDS?
was
no,
I
the
think-
We Are the World's for AIDS.
No. That was for famine in Africa in 1984, and then this I think raised awareness and money for HIV/AIDS research.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's I see that shows you're a generation before me.
I'm an old man.
Not an old
That's
man.
a very nice way to say I'm an old man.
No, but that for me.
No, it is a generation before
What would
you.
be the thing? Like ours would be like a TikTok trend or
9/11, right?
Well, yeah, 9/11. Well, that would be like our like my
Yeah,
JFK,
that's your JFK
or like the
assassination,
Challenger.
whereas mine was John Lennon's assassination.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or the
Yeah.
like the challenge. I don't remember the challenge. I kind of remember
I was
the
in
Challenger.
I was in 9th grade, I think.
Yeah, that was tough.
And that was heartbreaking.
You don't remember
Yeah.
the Challenger. The Challenger happened before you were born.
Oh, what's the other one that had the teachers?
That was Challenger.
Yeah, that
You're
was
thinking
Challenger.
Columbia. Columbia, I think.
Columbia.
Yeah.
Wasn't there another one?
I don't-
I think in
I
mid
don't
90s.
know. I've lost track of my shuttles.
There's one close by. This is by far our darkest Let's Go Back segment.
Yeah, Chernobyl meltdown.
My word. Well, they knew they were bringing on a depressive, so they wanted to cover some dark times in the 80s. You know, Karate Kid also came out during this time.
Wax on, wax off.
Edelman was born May 22nd, 86. You're a Taurus, like my dad, Phil Gulman.
Gemini. I'm on the
Gemini.
cusp.
Oh, you're on the cusp. Gemini. But
Stubborn,
Gemini,
two-sided guy.
You're a two-sided, but here's the thing. The side I'm getting today is an incredibly humble, down-to-earth young man. You were raised well and had good coaches. Is that where you're going to rely on?
My father, my mother.
Yeah, you're a kind person.
Tight ship.
He's on the right level of microdosing right now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he hit it today. Yeah, he's got it today.
Tyler.
Well,
Amazing.
Oprah started too.
Oh, wow. I remember that.
I used to love, you're getting a car.
Oh, my gosh. It was incredible. She was...
In the sports world, 1985-86, Oklahoma beats Joey Paz, Penn State in the Orange Bowl for the national title. Are you a college football guy?
Yes.
And so clearly Boston College is your
squad.
squad.
I love Boston College, but I also remember watching that game, and every year New Year's Day was a really special time to watch great college football. And the thing is that I don't follow the Heisman like I used to, but I can remember Bo Jackson winning the Heisman, and then I want to say Barry Sanders won it a year or two later or something like that at Oklahoma State. But
have you seen that doc on him?
It's so good, right?
Yeah, his dad, he's their best running back of all time. Jim Brown, me, and then you.
It's so funny. I love Barry. I could watch highlights of him. It's like he was our Gale Sayers, right?
100. I mean, every kid, and just to see, talk about humble and a man that took it to a whole nother level. I don't even want to be on the field for that 2,000-yarder because I don't want the record.
Right. And like I was saying,
That's
fans
awesome.
in Detroit, I mean, they've raised him to the level of a deity. I mean, they love him so much because he was all they had for so long.
Yeah.
And he didn't switch teams. I mean, he's really a commendable guy.
He really is. I mean, and you can see his relationship with his sons from that doc. He's a good man. His dad was a nut, but he was doing something right.
Yeah.
You know, you look at that.
Yeah.
Marcus Allen was the NFL MVP. That was Raiders Allen, right?
Yeah, Raiders Allen, yeah.
High knees.
Yeah.
He was a stud. I remember him a lot on the Chiefs.
And a Heisman,
he played for a long
winner.
time.
Yeah, he played for a long time.
He's a Heisman winner too.
Yeah.
He was.
At USC.
USC.
Yeah.
They have the most, right? Was 6 or 9. We just had Leinart on. He was dropping
Oh,
that
right.
knowledge. Leinart. The lefty.
Yeah, with Reggie Bush.
Oklahoma's got 7.
Oklahoma?
Yeah.
Wow.
The Kyler,
And Ohio State.
And Ohio State.
And Notre Dame.
And
USC.
All right, and USC.
All
so they all have a lot. They're all very good. The Celtics lose 4-2 to the Lakers in the 84 finals. You remember this?
I do remember that because we won the first game by 34 points, I think. So they were already burying the Lakers, and they were going to have to break up the team, and then the Lakers won in 6 games, which it was very depressing. But the Celtics came back so strong in '86 and put on the floor one of the greatest teams of all time, and I put them up there with the Last Dance Bulls and some of the Warriors teams. I mean, but the Lakers were incredible back then. And then the other thing that was very sad was that the Len Bias thing. So we won the NBA championship, but then we had the draft, took him second behind Brad Daugherty from UNC, and he played at Maryland. And I remember thinking, this guy is just as good as and I'm not a person who exaggerates or hyperbole. I was like, this guy is as strong athletically as Michael Jordan. Will he have the drive? Who knows? But then we found out. I remember my friend Mike Murphy called me up. He said, Gary, did you hear that Len Bias died? And I said, that's not funny. How is that a funny joke? Yeah. And so I think, now that I think about it, that's probably my JFK moment, is finding out that Len Bias died from CNN, which was like this brand new news network at the time. And then the fall, so the Patriots losing the Super Bowl, and then the fall the Red Sox lost to the Mets and Bill Buckner's era. That was just like I was literally crying. Like, who cries over a ball game? But I cried that the Red Sox lost. It felt like a death.
Well, I cried when the goddamn rally monkey came and beat my Giants.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh man,
we were up like 3-2.
Right, the
We're up
Angels,
3-2.
the
Goddamn rally
Angels,
monkey
right?
came.
Yeah.
I
Oh
hate
my
that
gosh.
rally monkey.
Oh, I get it. Yeah.
Fandom, I mean, that's crazy how fandom really and community,
Oh yeah.
the supports our sports. I mean, it was much more prevalent in our days.
Sure.
I mean, it's changed just
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
of information and
Right.
people have a lot of different, interests these days.
Sometimes they're rooting.
And you can have different interests these days. It used to be just sports.
No, but sometimes they're rooting for things such as the gambling outcomes, but also how their fantasy team is doing. Which I played 1 year, and the guys were so cutthroat that I vowed never to do it again. And
Yeah, I play with Kyler. We have a Coast Productions
fun
team, and
How you doing, Jules?
middle of the pack. I'm 6-6 right now. I need to do a couple of trades, but I mean, I'll go on and just put in content. I'll go on thinking I'm doing something smart, watching on a guy that might have a good game coming up.
Yeah.
Like 30 guys got him waived already. They must have been on these guys are putting serious hours into this thing.
Oh yeah. That was the thing
Serious.
that they were putting
You
in
can't
way more
compete with
hours.
that. I got a kid.
Yes.
I gotta go to the fucking
Yes.
grocery store.
I have
I gotta
a
go
life.
to school.
I have a life. God damn it. Yeah.
I mean, Kyler, you giggle. You picking up all those good little running backs.
Should I pull up the standings?
No, we'll leave it there. Leave it there. Well, let's set to the stage for the Miami Dolphins.
Okay, so the 1985 Miami Dolphins, led by Hall of Famers Don Shula, Dan Marino.
Went to the
and
Super Bowl
Dwight-
year before, right?
Yep, again, and lost to the 49ers. And then also Hall of Famer Dwight Stevenson, center. Get some O-line love. They were coming off a season in the Super Bowl, right? They lost to the 49ers. That was the year Dan Marino threw for 48 touchdowns. So they were feeling themselves. Dan Marino held out in training camp this year.
Wanted more money.
And so the Dolphins had a bit of a slow start. And then they kind of picked it up late in the season. They were out. They had 7 straight wins, including a all-time matchup against the eventual Super Bowl champions, the 85 Bears, on a Monday night game, which at the time was considered one of the greatest and most watched Monday night football games of all time.
Surpassed by that Rams Chiefs ones a couple years ago. Remember it was like 90 to 20 or 90 to 99.
Wow.
It was 52-50, I think.
Yes, that was some game.
That was a crazy game.
Yeah.
We played
Yeah.
them on Sunday Night Football like a couple weeks later, I think, or some primetime game. It was 40-43. It was
No, they put up. I mean, but the Miami Dolphins at that time were a modern offense, like what we see
100%.
now, throwing so much, and whereas the Patriots were grinding it out, and that was the matchup in that playoff game.
This was like the era.
But Mock Dupa and Mock Clayton they would make circus catches, and another game that I remember from my childhood. I wonder if you've ever seen highlights of this. Was the Chargers versus the Dolphins. It was
Is that Fouts?
yes, Dan Fouts versus Dan Marino, and it was either overtime or a last second play, and it was considered one of the great games of all time. Like the final score was in the 40s, but maybe either a touchdown or a field goal separating, and it was really inspiring. These guys, I remember Kellen Winslow being carried off the field with 2 guys. Like, remember that old thing
I've
where
seen that. I've
there was
seen that
no
clip.
stretcher. You would just have your teammates you would put your arms around them and they would kind of hobble you off the field.
Yeah.
And
The guys had jobs in the offseason too.
it was like the Civil War where they would just put a splint and you would bite down on a stick while they chopped off your foot.
Well, they'd obviously give you a shot of, Graham's old cough medicine first. That was your number.
Yes, totally. They would get you drunk
Yeah.
first and then amputate.
And then they would throw in some dirty ass alcohol into the wound, like, you'll be good.
Yes, and then you would go back
And
out
then
there
you-
with
tape it up.
missing a foot and an elbow.
So that game was called the Epic in Miami. The
Okay.
Chargers won 41-38.
All
It
right.
took place January 2nd, 1982 in the Orange Bowl, which our game is in. Also,
Amazing.
fun fact, Dwight Stevenson was also on that team too.
Wow. Thank you, Kyla. You're a great producer.
He
Thank
really
you.
is.
You're missing Jack.
You're
who's
missing
better
Jack.
than me.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I'm filling in.
Okay.
He's filling in. Well, we got
Oh.
like a 4, a 3.
That's very nice. That's very nice that Kyla gave a shout out to Jack.
Yeah. Well, what's your thoughts on the city of Miami?
It's not my speed. I'm a stay at home guy, and so I don't really like to stay out late in the party scene. But I recognize the draw. in terms of the quality of the personnel in the clubs and the bars and
Some good quality.
Yeah, there's some high quality there, and I understand that it's a very lucrative place to live for a professional athlete because you don't have to pay the state taxes. But I really like the northeastern cities to live in. Although I lived in Los Angeles for 6 years and I loved it.
Yeah.
Really, really good people. They say everybody's
you gotta find your group.
phony, but if you find your group, you're finding some of the best of
That's
wherever
true.
they came from. So
I believe that.
yes.
But I love that. That's what people always ask me, the difference between like East Coast and LA, West Coast. I'm from the Bay Area, so it's completely different up there. But it's people on the East Coast are meaner.
Yeah.
But you know what you're getting.
Right.
And
Yes.
so then
exactly.
it's cutting out a lot of bullshit.
Yeah. They're
you
very.
know, there's no agenda.
Yeah.
No one wants to say hi because it's fucking 3 degrees outside. You got to shovel your goddamn car.
They're more real, but you know what I'm getting off of you, and I only spent a small amount of time with him, but he was very similar to you, and he's a Bay guy. I shouldn't say he's a Bay guy. He's a California lifelong person, lived in LA, but Bill Walton from the UCLA, and I guess grew up in San Diego, but then
Bill Walton.
and he just, I mean, has lived one of the all-time legendary lives in terms of his the time of his existence and the people he intersected with. And he's just like, I remember telling him what an inspiration he was, and he was like, I had great coaches and great family, and it sounds like you always come off so humble, but you've lived one of the great lives. So
Well, I mean,
it's really nice. It's refreshing.
I appreciate that, but I'm just telling you, I believe that.
Yeah.
And no one gets to anywhere by themselves.
Right.
There's always a support system of something or a group or a friend, a mentor, coach.
But it's nice for people to hear that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
No, I mean it.
It's amazing you brought up Bill Walton because I just mentioned Jack, who normally does this. He sets up these rundowns, and he had Bill Walton in the sports and
Oh, really?
Because Bill Walton signed with the Celtics. this year.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm gonna cut it. I don't know shit about Bill Walton. We won't even talk about it.
I love
No
watching
worries.
Bill Walton when I was
At
on the
Grateful
East
Dead
Coast.
concerts and shit.
Yeah, he's always talking about Grateful Dead. So
Yeah.
you're in Boston, so you're getting a Pac-10 game at like 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
And you got Bill Walton talking about LSD and stuff about the Pac-12.
Yes, it's more than color commentary. It's colorful.
I honestly watched just for Bill Walton's commentary.
Me too.
It's kind of like the show on TNT with Shaq.
Yes.
Charles.
Yes.
I don't even watch basketball.
No, I know.
I watch the halftime show.
It's this weird sitcom. I love it. Yeah, I love it.
Funny.
Charles Barkley is the funniest athlete I've ever seen.
He's a great dude too.
Oh, really?
He's a really
that's
good
so nice
guy.
to hear. That's really great to
he's
hear.
real.
I've heard that. I've heard
he's
he's very
a real guy
He's very
and-
generous and down to earth. Yeah, and so funny. My word.
He doesn't mean to be always funny though.
Oh, really?
No, not always.
Oh, I just love him.
What about these Pats?
Okay, so the 1985 Patriots, their kind of identity, there was a tough team. They were coached by Raymond Berry, which a fun fact about him is he was one of John Unitas' favorite receivers back
he
in
was
his
a
playing
Baltimore
days.
Colt legend.
And was a teammate with Don Shula for 2 years in Baltimore as
Oh,
well.
wow. I didn't. That makes sense.
So this is a great defense led by Hall of Fame and notable Jew, Andre Tippett, as we mentioned. They gave up only 18.1 points per game and had 23 interceptions. They were both a top 10 defense and both top 10 offense as well. There was a bit of a quarterback controversy we talked about with Steve Grogan and Tony Eason.
You can see that they're a tough football team when your starting quarterbacks got under 60% completion percentage and 11 touchdowns and 17 interceptions.
Yeah. I mean, but look at Craig James was out
Stanley
of
Morgan.
SMU.
Yeah.
And he was an excellent
Express,
ball carrier.
right?
Yeah, and then he became a commentator for the college football on ESPN for a long time, and he was really good. And Stanley Morgan, oh my gosh, he's a
Hall of Famer, right?
Yeah, you would have loved him. He was.
He's got all the records.
Yeah, and for a team that didn't throw very much.
Yeah.
But if they threw, they were throwing to him. We had some really nice. Sadly we lost a tight end named Russ Francis from that era who played for the Niners as well. But he was a wonderful tight end back when they used to block a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do Fox with Rob Gronk. and we'll sit and talk. And I always pick his brain whenever, because we'll watch all the games together, and I'll have all the TVs.
Yeah.
Sitting there, you got Howie Long.
Yeah.
Gronk.
Yeah.
I'm sitting there, and I'm like, yo, Gronk, what do you think about this kid? Yeah, he's more of a H-back. I go, Gronk, what do you think about this guy? He's more of an H-back. He really thinks that the true tight end position, there's only like 2 to 5, 2 to 3 that are traditional tight end that could sit up on the end of the line of scrimmage and block a 9 technique.
Right. Wow.
You know what I mean? There's not many guys that do that.
Yeah.
You got a lot of these guys, it's become a pass catching position.
Oh, yeah. It's an
and a
extra wide
matchup
receiver.
problem.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're getting big receivers, and then you're playing the personnel group game.
Yeah.
And now they don't have to block the ends anymore. They can get up on, a smaller backer.
Oh, yeah.
The game's completely changed.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so much faster.
It is.
I can't get over it sometimes.
Gary, how was your blocking when you played at BC?
Awful. My blocking was awful. My technique was awful. I relied on being able to jump very high, and I had good hands. But my blocking, I could never do. They used to call it a reach block.
Yeah.
And that's a really hard block. And also, when I was in high school, they didn't want you to use your hands. They wanted you to block with your shoulder, so that
you used to do the wings,
the flippers, so you wouldn't get called for a holding call. And then when I got to college, you were allowed to use your hands and get in there, and it was a very difficult adjustment. And then the other thing going from a high school to college was that you had to, in high school, they just threw the ball high, you caught it. In college, it was like, well, if you have a rolled up corner, then you have to make this decision. And I was like, a rolled up what now? Yeah. It was really hard to keep up with the playbook, and it wasn't as sophisticated as your playbook.
No, but at every level that you go up,
Yeah.
it's a big jump.
Yeah.
I mean, I can remember going from high school to junior college, and that was a jump just on athletes.
Yeah.
And then when you do well in junior college, you go to everyone was the best in their area.
Yeah.
And you go to that, and it's like you have to learn a new language.
Yeah. But the idea that football players or any athlete are meatheads is so false and insulting, because the level of intellect and the decision making, the quickness, not to mention the kinetic genius that you guys have. But anybody, I know they make fun of Gronk, but anybody who can do these reads has an intelligence. Maybe not for chemistry and physics.
No, without a doubt.
Right, but for the movement and also just the decision making quickness is really impressive.
Gary, I played in the league for 12 years. I played with some meatheads.
Really?
Yeah.
Couldn't follow the
there's like maybe 1 to 3 guys on a team that are just either so big, so fast, strong.
I see. Physically, they were able to dominate.
They can do that. They won't do it for a long time now.
Right.
Because people learn your moves when you get it on film.
Yes.
Then people can prepare for it.
Yes.
But they can sneak out. There's some meatheads that can sneak out a couple years.
All right. Thanks for
No, but I also say that too. Like I got a little disappointed in Meryl Streep because I was a huge Meryl Streep fan.
Okay.
I still am. But when she went on she won an award for Best Actress or something. It was like 5 years ago or something. And she like called out the athlete community. Like, we're the arts, we're the this. And I go, you know how artistic it is?
Oh my gosh.
To be able to have this vision, to be able to set up a block, do a spin move. That's a person's art.
Oh my gosh.
Like you said, that kinetic art of movement.
Yes.
You see some of these guys run. Yes, they're big, strong, fast, but they have footwork like a ballerina.
It wasn't a coincidence that Jerry Rice dominated Dancing with the Stars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he used to do ballerina stuff for his ankle and feet.
Right, because he's an artist.
Yeah.
And there were a lot of players who could have been equally impressive in dance or things like that. Yeah.
Emmitt Smith did well too.
Yes. Oh my gosh, he was awesome.
I think he won it. Didn't
he had great feet. Yeah.
So you get offered every single year to be on that show.
I'm not going on Dancing with the Stars.
Good for you.
If I got to go there, we got problems. All right. I love Dancing with the Stars. I'm a big fan. But I like doing this.
No, you can use your brain and your mouth to do great things.
And Meryl Streep, I'm still a fan, but that hurt me.
No, I get that. That is hurtful.
She's called out like you guys. There's part of the country that loves UFC and the NFL. We're the arts.
Oh,
Like, you know how
Meryl.
artistic it is.
Meryl, she didn't have to take you
bring us
guys
down.
Yeah, exactly.
Bring us down.
Exactly.
So to wrap up this Patriots team, a little bit of quarterback controversy. Grogan was up and down his whole career. They drafted Tony Easton in a pretty incredible 1983 draft class for quarterbacks. John Elway, Jim Kelly, and Dan Marino was drafted actually after Tony Easton. So
Yeah.
Easton won the job. Start of the year, I believe 2-3. Separated his shoulder.
Say those guys again, real quick. I'm sorry.
So the whole draft class.
No, just the 3 guys that were before him.
John Elway
Yeah.
at first overall. Jim Kelly at 14.
Who was after him?
Dan Marino was after Tony Easton.
Oh.
So Tony
he
Easton was
had a
drafted
little,
15th.
He had a little problem with his nose, if you know what I mean.
And wasn't the Bears quarterback in that draft class too?
Also was Todd Blackledge and
McMahon?
Ken
Maybe
O'Brien were the other people drafted in the first round.
Okay.
I don't know
But
about.
not McMahon.
Let me see, I can come back on McMahon. So there's a little controversy with the quarterbacks. Easton goes down with his shoulder. Grogan comes in. They win 6 games in a row, and then Grogan breaks his leg in a overtime loss to the Jets, and then Easton comes back in and then finishes out the season. Also, would be remiss if we don't mention Hall of Fame Patriot legend John Hanna. This was his last
Hog
season.
Hanna from Alabama.
Hog Hanna from Alabama.
Yeah, I mean, that was how desperate we were for superstars, that we were in love with an offensive lineman, a guard. He was different, though.
That's tight, though.
Yeah.
That's tight.
No,
I
we loved
that.
him. Yeah.
I always clicked with the line. Like, I loved Logan Mankins.
Yeah, I love
Remember
Logan
Mankins?
Mankins. Yeah, of course.
I still think he was
Of course.
just the grittiest
Yeah.
dude. This
I
guy
loved
used
Matt
to,
Light and
Matt Light.
Rucci. They were really good guys, too. The
Steve
interesting
Neal, the wrestler.
Yeah, the interesting thing with the offensive linemen, and I'm sure this is not unique to Boston College, was how close they were,
Always.
and they were real family, and because they're not getting all the notoriety and everything like that, but they're doing all the hardest work,
You got to win the game,
and
in the
they
trenches,
never
dude.
touch a football.
No, they're the ultimate selfless
Yeah.
team player.
Yeah,
Don't say much. They all hang out by each
yeah,
other. They're
yeah,
all
and their average life expectancy is like 39.
yeah.
They're like
Probably like
professional.
40.
They're like wrestlers, right? They're like professional wrestlers.
It's changed. It's
Yeah.
changed because you see them. All these guys now, as soon as they're done, they shed 60 pounds.
Yeah. Oh yes. Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
a lot more
Yeah.
information these days.
No, it's true.
You know, back
It's
in
true.
the day, they just keep it eating.
So
Yeah.
John Hanna said of this season, my goal was to play 16 years. And during that season, 1985-86, I had a torn calf muscle, 2 torn rotator cuffs, and a blown up knee. They repaired both shoulders at the same time. When I went to get my knee done, my cartilage looked like sand. My femur was wearing down. I was told by the doctor that if I had a job I could do outside of football, I should go do that. And that's what I did.
Yeah, that's tough. The shoulder, knee.
Oh,
Surgeries
I
are the
can't
worst.
imagine. I'm very
I
lucky.
had 12.
wow.
12
Too many.
surgeries. It's like every off season. It's like going into the get a pit stop.
Man.
When you know the radiologist and the nurses by name.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, hey, Mary, how you doing? Oh,
Right.
yeah.
Oh man.
Can you give me a little extra scoop on that one? Oh my God.
But I will say, I have gone under, and those when you're counting down, that feels good.
Just gone. The best sleep.
The best sleep.
The best
ever.
sleep.
The best. No tossing and turning. Just 10. I'm out.
Michael Jackson.
And Prince.
Was that too?
I think so. Yeah.
R.I.P. Let's set the stage of this game. First, we get to the game. What was the whole thoughts of the city of this team? Just tough team. Everyone's proud of it, or
Yeah, I mean, it was
You said
I said,
earlier-
it felt like a holiday.
Yeah.
Like we didn't get school off, but everybody was focusing on that, and everybody was in a good mood. Do you remember like Wednesday before Thanksgiving at school? Everybody's light, even the teachers
out.
who don't like you are being kind and looking out for you. That's what it feels like in New England.
Maybe get a
when
roller.
when the Pats, Red Sox, Bruins are going for a championship, and we were not that hopeful that we could win in Miami, but there was a chance for a miracle. We had seen what Flutie had done in Miami recently, and so we were all about this.
Destiny vibes.
I think, there was maybe a Destiny vibes, and the sports radio was basically this guy called Eddie Edelman in New England. He had a show on WHDH, and it was Sunday night. So one night a week, you would hear sports talk. And then sometimes Sunday morning there were shows. So it wasn't a 24-hour broadcast. There was one broadcast, and I remember he had a song parody about this team with all the players, because some of the players' names rhymed, like Lippett and Tippett, although it was Lippett. But Andre Tippett, Lippett and Tippett, and Blackman's the Sackman. The D doesn't play, it attacks. The Dolphins will go down today to Raymond Berry's Pats. That was the song. I can't believe I'm getting the chills that I remember this.
That you remember that.
Yeah, and so we hadn't won in a while. The Red Sox hadn't made the playoffs since 1975. So that's 10 years. That's a lifetime nowadays, right? If the Red Sox won 10 years without even making the playoffs. And the Patriots had beaten the Jets and then the Raiders, so there was a feeling of momentum and destiny. But we never win in Miami. 18 consecutive years of losing in Miami.
That's disgusting.
So we were
18 years. That's in the
we were
60s.
we were not convinced they would win, and then oh my word, it was the Super Bowl for us.
It was the Super Bowl to the Super Bowl.
Yes.
Super Bowl Eve.
Yeah.
Games with Names is brought to you by my friends at WynnBET. WynnBET is bringing the excitement of Wynn Las Vegas and Encore Boston Harbor to online sports betting. Whether you're a recreational player or a serious handicapper, WynnBET is your ticket to every exciting wager. From straight-up bets to parlays, teasers, and any prop bet you can dream up. All players have access to Wynn rewards and can redeem them for resort credit in Las Vegas and Boston. Sign up today and get in the game online or visit Boston Sportsbook at Encore Boston Harbor. There's no way better to enjoy sports with a little extra winning in your pockets. Betting is a team sport. Join the WynnBET team and bet with the best.
Must be 21 or older and present in the state where play through WynnBET is available. Terms and conditions at wynnbet.com. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, call 1-800-522-4700.
Kyler, set the stage.
So the lead up to this game, we kind of touched on all of it. Patriots were wild card team, kind of a road warrior, beat the Jets on the road, beat the number one Los Angeles Raiders on the road, and then eventually beat this Dolphins team on the road to go to the Super Bowl.
Road Dogs.
Yeah. And this is the first team to make it to the Super Bowl from the wild card, and this is the first team to win all three road games to make it to the Super Bowl. Wow. And Gary, you mentioned too about this Orange Bowl jinx. The Pats were 0-18 in the Orange Bowl.
Oh, I didn't realize that they had never won there. I just thought it was 18 years in a row, which makes sense because the team was not that
60.
old.
And hadn't won, or maybe since 1966. I don't know if they had won one in the past. They did win one on the road in Florida.
In Tampa.
But it was in Tampa for some random reason.
The Orange Bowl, they owned us. The Orange Bowl, I mean, wow.
And then leading up to this game from the Dolphins side, because of the matchup they had with the Bears, and everyone was viewing that was such a matchup, and this was going to be an incredible Super Bowl.
Overlooked.
Dolphins, Bears,
Right,
the rematch.
Yes.
Great offense, great defense. Let's go. So they were kind of looking at that, and they were riding I think a 7 or 8 game win streak into this game. And then also Squish the Fish was selling T-shirts and all that.
Yeah, I remember that.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
It's good font.
It really is.
And then the game is not the most remarkable gameplay. I think the thing here is a lot of the anticipation kind of leading up to it.
255, that's remarkable.
Yeah.
That's called tough.
Yeah.
You want to be a tough team, you got to run the ball, you got to stop the run, you got to cover kicks.
Yeah, they grounded out. It was Craig James, Anthony Collins, and this guy named Mosi Tatupu, who was like a local legend, a Samoan legend, and also a Patriots legend. He could always be counted on to get you the really tough yards. He was so tough and strong and beloved. There was this group called Mosi's Mooses, which was like the equivalent of like they would make a big sheet and put it out, and they were fans of this guy who only carried the ball 4 or 5 times, but he blocked really hard. Yeah, and he was really important to everybody. The blue collar type players are just so beloved in New England. After all these, still that's a big thing.
Yeah, it is.
The lunch pail guys. Hey. That's what they loved about Julian Edelman, who was once quoted as saying, "I love getting hit."
You're young, dumb, and full of cum. You don't know what you're thinking. Now I'm thinking of that. I'm like, oh, I'm so stupid. No, but is this not just a perfect display of what your city is through football teams?
Oh yes, totally.
Tough.
Totally.
255 on the ground.
Yeah, and by the way, you could see that maybe if it was in a cold weather game, but to grind it out like that when
in Miami,
and it was just Tony Eason. He did not throw many attempts. I mean, and he made most of them, and it was basically ball control. And then here's the thing: growing up as a Patriots fan, they were always a run first team. They would run on third down. And then punt on fourth down. They would maybe throw sometimes on third down.
Field position battle. Try to play the defense.
Yes, totally. But they would they weren't a team that would air it out very frequently. And Grogan I thought had a good arm, but they just they were a ball control offense. Yeah,
I can't. I'm looking at everything. I'm looking at all the numbers, but Don Shula is a handsome guy.
No, he had a wavy hair, and over the years It just drives me crazy that those old Dolphins guys get to celebrate every year when a team loses. It drives me nuts. Like that.
We almost had that.
Yes,
I wasn't on the team.
I know, but someday it has to happen, and if only to shut those guys up because they're smug about it, and they don't bring into the fact that they did not play a 16-game regular season, and the playoffs weren't as arduous.
That means it's probably never going to happen.
It may never happen
because it's 18. It'll be 18 probably in the next 3 years.
Right.
And, there's an extra playoff game. Less buys.
Yeah.
I mean, that's regardless if it was 14 or whatever. That's an impressive stat just to have guys to be able to get up every week.
Yeah.
I mean, you know how it is in football.
No, I know. I know.
The start of the season,
I know.
You're excited because it's the start.
Yeah. But then the days get short, man. It's tough.
Days
get
short.
Gets
it
tough.
gets cold.
Yeah.
Your body starts to hurt. You got an ankle. You're rehabbing all day. Then, week 7 to 12, you're sitting there miserable. The sun's gone. You're going to work. It's dark. You leave work. It's dark. You see the sun or the cloudy gray skies of Foxborough for.
That's depressing.
It's very depressing.
Yes.
I used to have this little light.
Me too.
Yeah, the light in my locker.
The light box.
Yeah,
yes.
It's supposed to give you the UV or something.
Yeah. It's really helpful, but
it's the vitamin D supplements. They were huge into that. That started coming into.
Oh yeah, most people are vitamin D deficient. Let's do a quick PSA.
Yeah.
Get your vitamin D.
Vitamin D, but you also have to have calcium to break down the vitamin D. So don't forget the calcium as well.
Oh.
It needs to be able to break it down.
Okay. So take a calcium supplement as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because that's what helps the vitamin D get broken down.
That's really helpful.
Yeah.
So let me wrap up this game. So final score was 31-14. We touched on the big things. It was Patriots outrushed the Dolphins 255-56. You mentioned Tony Eason only had 12 pass attempts, but he threw for 3 touchdowns. Dan Marino, he went 20 for 48.
Wow.
2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and there was 6 total turnovers from the Dolphins for this game.
That is something else. I mean, Marino was as good as it ever got. I'm looking at the face masks, and they're similar to what people wear when they're fencing, right? They are. I don't know how they ever saw.
They're so the linemen. I mean, that's what I grew up seeing.
Yeah,
that line right in the middle.
And they used to have those neck rolls and the huge shoulder pads.
Now it's all as small as you can get.
Did you wear any knee pads?
My first 3 years I didn't, and they mandated it.
Okay.
I didn't wear knee or thigh.
Isn't that good? Just to be faster.
I don't know why. I just thought it looked cooler.
The vanity.
Yeah.
My word.
It was more of all the studs on the team were doing it.
I see.
So
I get it.
I want to do that.
I get it. No, that makes sense.
And then you get a deep thigh bruise, and Belichick's like, what the fuck are we doing?
Gosh.
Jesus. So he would mandate us. He mandated us in practice, but in games you could take them out.
Was there ever a point where you felt comfortable with somebody like that, or is it always
with Bill?
Yeah.
After like my second Super Bowl win,
okay,
and like a historic catch, then I felt like I could crack a joke at him.
Yeah, I just always every experience to this day. My high school coach and anybody who coached me in college, I still call them coach.
Oh yeah,
and I still want to make them proud and please them. Isn't it interesting?
It is. But I mean,
but they really were so meaningful to us. I mean, especially at our at our youngest ages, they mold your outlook. And I don't think everybody should play a sport, but you should play something where you have to rely on somebody for mentorship and guidance, and also something that somebody helps you improve at something.
Yeah.
It's a great lesson, right?
I think there's so many life lessons. Like I have a 6-year-old right now, and I love that she's in soccer team sport.
Yes.
She does gymnastics and tennis. The life lessons you learn in a team sport are I think, so much on a different page, just because in life, you're not going to go through this thing alone. And anything you do, you have a job, you're art, this, that, you're going to need other people. And so you need to learn at a young age how to work with people.
Yeah.
You need to learn at a young age to rely on other people. You need to learn at a young age that people are going to rely on you.
Yes.
And you need accountability.
Yes.
You're going to learn how to compete.
Yes.
You're going to learn how to set goals. You're going to learn how to sacrifice.
Yeah.
And all these things, like, as soon as she gets old enough where she can make her own decision, then she don't have to play, but at least she'll have that instilled in her and she'll feel that. And then she can go to what she wants.
Yeah. No, I love it.
Right now, it's not this isn't a democracy. This is a dictatorship. Okay?
That's good. That's good. But
Parenting.
I mean, the other thing, and maybe it's obvious, but it was unusual, I think, when I grew up in the 1970s in a community that was mostly white people.
Tough too. Tough people.
Yeah, it was white, tough people. And then, but through basketball and football and sports, I was able to interact with people who didn't look like me.
Yeah.
And it was important to understand, no, they're no different than you. They want the same things. They work as hard as you do, sometimes harder. And so that was very helpful in that circumstances.
Learning communities, learning culture.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people who are in certain fields that never intersect with people who don't look like them, and it's really, they're missing out.
And that's just, and they probably acted a certain way around people because they don't have experience.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
that's what the sport does. It allows you to experience other people.
Yeah, and I've been blessed that way with comedy as well. People of different backgrounds and interests and who weren't even born in America frequently. It's been really cool.
And it's really cool because you guys have a common interest.
Yes. Yes.
So that's what brings you together.
Yeah, and that's
what
the
sport
other
does.
That's the other thing. They didn't care where you came from as long as you could play or loved the sport.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was really special.
A lot of stuff to be learned from sport. It's definitely not for everyone.
No.
But there's so many things.
No. But it could also be music, instruments, or something like that.
What's the first thing that comes to mind when you think of this game? After the game, before the game, when you think of this game?
I think of my dad. Because I'm from a divorced family, so he would come on Sundays, and Sundays meant watching the Patriots with him, and he was such a good fan. I never heard him criticize the players. He would be disappointed. He would be sad, but he never said, because a lot of New England fans say, don't follow the Red Sox, don't follow the Patriots, they'll break your heart. But my dad just loved these guys and these teams, and I remember how happy he was and how he wasn't a pessimist, which a lot of Bostonians are.
Yeah.
He really believed in the team from week to week, and he would become disappointed, and we were just so thrilled by that game and so excited about the Super Bowl. And the great thing about the mindset back then was that making it to the Super Bowl was
the Super Bowl.
A dream come true, and we were happy. It wasn't a failure if the team lost, whereas now I feel for the Buffalo Bills fans. Because it happens 4 times in a row. It's comical.
And then what they're going through right now.
Yes.
Like you're thinking that this is their time.
Yeah.
It's
it's heartbreaking, but I feel for those fans because it's you give your heart and soul every Sunday.
You really do.
Yeah.
And those people, I tell you right now, those Buffalo fans, they haven't experienced a lot of success.
No.
And they still love their team.
They love their team.
They love
and they
their
believe
team.
I've
never been flipped off so many different ways. Anytime.
Oh, wow.
Anytime you go into Buffalo, from 3 years old to 100 years old, you're getting the finger after you leave.
Was there ever something somebody yelled, and not in the profanity, but something like I remember just certain things would be yelled from opposing teams, and they would like get you like really like
Gary,
like your hair or something. It would
Gary.
just really be. It would be like that hurt my feelings.
No, you want to know what hurt my feelings? When it was a 3rd and 8, and all of a sudden I see a pink dildo get thrown onto the field, and it says Brady's dildo. That's what traumatized me. And I sat and watched
Oh, Julian,
referees.
I'm so sorry that happened to you.
I sit and watch the referees. They're sitting here having a discussion on how to get it off the field. One's kicking it off. They don't know what to do.
Oh, my word.
I mean, it was that's what I remember from the Buffalo fans.
Oh, buddy. I'm sorry.
It was so big.
Yes. As the Beastie Boys, I think, toured with that.
So the Patriots went on to Super Bowl 10 or 20. Super Bowl 20. Their
XX.
first in franchise history.
The first X-rated.
Yeah, the first X-rated.
Double X-rated. Oh, my gosh,
Brady
Julie.
Dillo. There it was.
Wow.
Literally, that was on the field. I was actually impressed with the fan
It's
that had
really-
the imagination to sneak this thing in because it's not easy getting things in that fucking stadium.
No, that's really impressive.
So he must have keysed it,
I
or
don't-
he must
yeah,
have put it
I
in
was
his
gonna say I
pants.
don't want to make any guesses at where he was hiding it. Or she.
The Patriots lost to the Bears, the 85 Bears, with that Super Bowl shuffle, sweetness, the fridge, McMahon, that beautiful defense, that 46 defense, 46-10, but they were winning 3.
Buddy Ryan.
They carried him off the field.
Yep.
Carried him off the field.
Yeah.
I loved Buddy Ryan. I like the Ryans too. I know I saw Rex at the Belmont when he was still the head coach of the Jets.
Oh, wow.
And it was right after that whole foot thing that
Oh, yeah,
Welker
yeah,
did.
yeah, Welker. Oh, my gosh.
And we were all there.
That was really funny, man.
It was.
That was next level.
It was funny. We ended up losing though.
Ah.
But yeah, we were. He was great about it. He's a fun guy.
Yeah, he
He's
seems
just-
like he has a really good sense of humor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then his brother, I saw him. He's the same way. It's just there was such a rich in history
that's
that
cool.
family.
Yeah, really, this generation more than the guys in the 70s and 80s. I do like seeing the guys after the game hugging each other from the opposing teams, whether it's
Yeah.
basketball. I know it upsets the old school people, but these guys understand what they went through, and it's not like they're letting up because they're playing somebody they went to camp with or college with.
Yeah.
They want to for the sake of their own integrity and their
I agree with that.
their egos beat them. And so I understand. It's like the boxers who hug at the end. Nobody understands what they went through. Yeah. I remember one of my favorite matches of all time was
Hearns Hagler?
No, Drago Balboa. when the Balboa, I feel he brought it. Was going to
ended
end
the Cold War.
It was going to end, but
He
I
ended
think
the Cold War.
he sped it up. He sped it up.
Yeah.
It was more diplomacy, but that didn't hurt.
What was the line? If
I can change, you can change, we can all change. Yes.
Change is good.
Yeah. That was a really good documentary.
But getting back to after the game. After the game.
Yes. Sorry.
I understand what other guys go through, and there's a respect always.
Yeah.
There's always a respect. Because
Yeah.
I've been in every situation on that field. A guy trying to make the team,
Yep.
a guy trying to earn a role, a
Yeah.
guy that's trying to keep up his expectations, that the standards that he's made for himself.
Yeah.
I've been on every side of that.
Sure.
But before a game,
Oh, yeah.
we can't talk.
No.
We can't talk.
No,
Can't-
I can only sneer at you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. No, 100%.
After game, I'll
Yeah.
shake your hand
Yeah.
if we win.
I would
If we win.
frequently when I would
If we lose, I used to just literally get off the field.
Yeah. Frequently, I would box and I would tell my opponent, "I must break you. I must break you." That wasn't me.
I mean, Drago. That was Drago.
What's it? I remember this one fighter had a prediction for the fight, and his prediction was pain. Yes. Lang was one of the all-time heavyweights. I don't
That
care
was
what
my
you
favorite.
say. Some people love Tyson, other people Ali, but Lang, one of the all-time WBC champions.
Hey, Balboa. Hey, Balboa. Your
Hey,
wife-
woman.
Yeah, he was talking about his wife, talking about Adrian.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
Rocky had to go to L.A.
Yeah.
and get a little brother life in him.
Yes.
So he had to get his rhythm.
Yes. Oh my
Oh,
gosh.
I love that one.
So
That was
good.
low key one of the best.
Oh, one of the most watchable.
I mean, it was one of the best fights of all time.
Yeah, and I love the training. There is no tomorrow, Julian.
There is no.
There is no tomorrow.
You know that was And once again, like my career goes into these Rocky movies.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
There's a time where you're doing the magazine covers.
Yeah.
And you're living on cloud nine. You got the
wrestling Thunder Lips.
Yes. And then all of a sudden you get hurt or something.
Yeah.
There's something that happens. You lose your confidence, and you gotta build it back.
Confidence is
Everything.
a big percentage of the game.
How do you build your confidence?
It's a constant struggle, but I do gain confidence by thinking of things that I initially wasn't able to do, and then do it easily without thinking. From tying your shoes to making free throws to dunking a basketball, all these things in your life that you're like, oh, I can't do it, and then you don't give up. It's like that San Antonio Spurs thing where you hammer the stone every day and it doesn't even crack. There's no evidence. And then years later, it cracks wide open. And it's just like, keep pounding that rock every day. And so I think my confidence is that John Wooden idea, the preparation and giving it all. And then what else can I do? Yeah, that pyramid of success, man, it still holds up, and it was written in the 50s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, I always, as an athlete, you deal with confidence because especially when you play on a team like New England, because there's a standard.
Yeah.
Like, if we don't win a Super Bowl, it's a failure, at least when we were playing, when I was on that team.
Yeah.
So for me, if I would ever lose the confidence, if I dropped a ball or something, I didn't perform a certain way in a game, or I missed a couple this or that, for me, I would just always go back to the fundamentals. I would think, I hear my dad in my head, because my dad's very...
What's his name?
Frank.
Okay.
He's he was a very tough guy on me.
Okay.
He's the type of guy that, I'd go work.
Where are you in the birth order?
I'm the middle.
Okay. Tough.
I'm the middle.
Okay.
Brother was 7 years older than me too.
Oh, it's like a different family.
So he used to like just mollywop me. So, and my sister's 3 years younger, but
okay.
He was the type of guy that I'd go work out, and he'd come back and I'd be dying, and he goes, "You beat those 3 kids." I'm talking, I was working out by myself, Dad. He goes, you're in the NFL now. There's 3 kids in high school right now that are training and that have a picture of you on their wall.
Wow.
That are thinking about taking your job.
Wow.
That are thinking about taking your house. And I think, like, that's the kind of stuff. So then I always, whenever I lost my confidence, I would always just go back to fundamental work.
Yeah.
Work my way out of it and just try to stack good days together.
Yeah.
You're either getting better or you're getting worse.
Sure.
If you break everything down.
Yeah.
In your day to day, if you could stack 5 good days together and you just keep on competing that's what I had to do. For me, and I had to keep myself in a happily miserable mindset. Like, I have this whole thing where we have this merch I sell. It's called Happily Miserable.
Okay.
Because I was miserable, but I needed to be in that mindset.
Yeah, the underdog mindset.
The world's falling mindset. Mm-hmm. Like, I needed that for me to hone in and keep my focus.
Sure.
So work was always my way to get my confidence back, and if you want to improve on something, Belichick would always say this: if you want to improve, you can't just go work hard.
Yeah.
You can't just go run. You can't just go lift weights. You're working hard, but you need to find someone, a mentor, coach, a person that can tell you what you need to work on.
Yes.
And then you work hard at that.
Wow.
And that's how you get improvement.
Smart. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's how,
that's really inspiring and so insightful. But are you able to turn it off? And are you able to... One thing that I always have a hard time was, and it reminds me of Bob Knight, where I remember in that book I read, Season on the Brink, where he would yell at a player and he said, "Why do I want you to be a better player than you want to be?" And so there are certain mindsets which are hard to be around, especially after they're now playing athletes, because they hold everybody to such high expectations, and then Kyler pays for it. And
it's true. I have to.
And we have to, because I find that with my wife sometimes, because she has artistic pursuits, and I tell her how I would go about it, and she's like, "Stop trying to make me be you
Yeah.
and let me enjoy this.
You know that
It's interesting because we have this discipline that worked for us, and we want to impart it on people, but
Yeah.
it can be very off-putting.
I talk to my dad about that all the time.
Yeah.
You know, because I have like small businesses and
Sure.
you're managing people and I go to the factor of like how I was managed
Yeah.
for 12 years of my life by
Right.
Bill
And
Belichick.
it was so successful beyond like dreams.
Beyond dreams.
Yeah.
And I was never told the things I did well. I was expected to
Right.
do those.
Right.
I was only told the things I needed to work on.
Yeah.
You know, and my dad's actually he's very similar to me. He's a small business owner, so he's had a lot of experience with people.
Was he athletic?
He was, but
Okay.
his dad died when he was 3, and his mom, you know, she was in and out of marriages. He grew up in a trailer park,
Tough.
so he became a mechanic at 14. You
God
know,
love
he had to
him.
help
Wow.
help out my mom,
Wow.
my grandma. So he always talks. You know, he always kind of lets me know that you can't live like what you're saying. You can't.
Right.
You have to turn that off.
Yes. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's
Yeah.
and it's hard for me
Of
because I'm
course.
still transitioning
Yeah.
from something I've been doing for 2 decades, 3 decades.
Yeah.
You know, and it's been
Yeah.
like that since I was 8 years old.
Yeah.
And it's changed when you get to be a professional, and then it's all football. You don't have school anymore. You have
Right.
football school.
Yeah.
You have, you know.
Yeah.
So like, I mean, it's a part of life is learning what you have to do to improve. And my dad's
Yeah.
a good person that helps me with that, but I definitely need to be able to turn it off.
Sure.
You know,
Sure.
and
Yeah.
when you have a kid, it helps you with that.
Yes.
You know, and my dad was
Yeah.
a hard ass. My dad was very tough on me because
Yeah.
he didn't.
That's
have
what dads were like back then.
and he didn't have
Yeah.
He didn't have anyone.
Yeah. Who
to
would
show
have
him,
trained him? Yeah.
You know, so.
Yeah.
But he's now the complete opposite now. Now he's
Interesting.
the softy. Are you hungry?
The grandfather.
Yeah. Oh, do you need anything?
That's so
Like,
nice.
Oh, look, let me rub your feet. Like
Frank.
literally.
That's great.
So
Wow. I mean, the pride he must have, though, Julian. My word.
it was a team effort. My mom as well. You know,
Yeah.
she's a stubborn little lady.
Yeah.
But that
it's a
stubbornness
special thing
gave
for a
me,
dad to have a son who
Yeah.
excels
and
in these areas.
Yeah,
Yeah.
my dad. He was a huge part of it.
Sure. No, I
Yeah.
know. Yeah.
My dad's kind of like a Jewish mother.
That's so cool.
Literally.
That's great.
You know, nothing's ever good enough, but he's always comforting me.
Yeah. Oh, that's so nice. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
but in the
that's-
same twisted kind of thing.
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. I was watching your stand up. Your mom cracks me up.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah,
She's a
quite
sweetheart.
she really is a sweetheart. She's quite a
talking
character.
about
She's very
depression.
Yeah.
She's like, oh, he's here to eat smiles the whole
yeah,
time.
Yeah.
She
You
didn't
never met a happier kid. Yeah. And then I held up this book
The
called
book,
The Lonely
Lonely
Tree.
Tree.
Yeah, The Lonely Tree. And she's just the level of denial, but nobody understood back
No.
then. Nobody knew. So yeah.
It's a product of that generation.
Yes, exactly.
You know, and-
Exactly. And we didn't have that relationship with our parents like kids do today where they can go to them and say, listen, I feel this way. I feel
Yeah.
if you were bullied, you kept that to yourself unless there was something you could do about it. So
Yeah.
or try to figure out a way to solve these things by yourself because they were working so hard, especially a single mom is just this interesting warrior
Yeah,
in
it is.
America or on the planet that they just have to get by and they don't have a lot of time for nonsense.
So that's what my dad always tells me when Dad, I'm stressed out. You know, I got a lot of shit going on.
Yeah.
You want to know what stress is?
I know.
I go, what? What
Yeah.
are you talking about? Dad, I got,
Yeah.
a lot of shit going on.
Yeah.
You know what stress is? It's when you have 3 deaf kids, $50 in your bank account with $200 in bills. Wow. That's what my grandma was. My dad has 3 deaf brothers and sisters.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so,
Oh
and
my
he's like
word.
significantly younger, but,
Yeah.
you know, he goes, that's
Oh my
stress.
gosh, yeah.
And that's a single mom, you know
Is
what
your
I mean?
grandmother still alive?
Nah, she
Oh, I'm
passed.
sorry. What
She
was her name?
Mary.
Mary. God love her.
She was the best.
Yeah.
Let's get back to the old football then. Shed a tear over here thinking about grandma.
Gary, I have one quick question. And
Yeah.
I think one of your specials, you mentioned your mom would go to a dentistry school to get her teeth done.
Yeah, that's my newest special.
Was
Yeah.
that BU?
The Boston University School of Dentistry?
My
Yeah.
grandma did the same thing.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. That's incredible. And it was a nightmare.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
was, yeah.
The teeth were terrible.
These poor people couldn't afford dentistry. So our family, my mom had a lot of dental work. She would go to a school that had a university that had a school of dentistry, and these kids would take their midterms, but it was my mother's bridge work and her molars and things, and they weren't competent, and she would be in great pain. And that's what we had to do. It was really, I feel for her, man. It was, and the other thing was we would have to drive into Boston, which was, poor people have cars that don't work. So sometimes we'd break down. We'd just be on the side of the road waiting for a AAA truck to come. And it was just, oh man, it was a nightmare. God love
before
her.
the big dig too.
That was before the big dig.
Oh my
So we
God.
would go
So
over
then
this
you're
thing
in
called the
5
Mystic.
hours of traffic on the side
Mystic,
of the road.
the Mystic River Bridge, which everybody would call the Mystic River. We're going over the Mystic River. And I was like, who is this Mr. Griver? And she was, Mystic River, the river. We're driving over it to go into Boston, and you had to save up money to pay for parking. I remember that was part of it.
And the toll.
Yeah, and the
They got rid of the toll
And the toll.
on the pike when I was there.
Yeah.
I used to hate that. That made all the traffic.
Yeah, and these poor people who worked in the toll booths were just miserable. Oh my gosh.
But their sweaters, though. That Mass Pike sweater.
It was
Yes.
Oh, I love
Oh, I
that thing.
did love those. Oh my gosh, I would love one of those. Amazing.
Is Dan Marino the
Tyler is an absolute delight. The whole staff here. I really enjoy you people.
We enjoy you.
Thank you. I really appreciate. I was hoping I was doing a good job.
No, you're killing it.
All right.
Dan Marino, the best to never win a Super Bowl.
Who else are we thinking about in terms of
I've got some names.
Sanders, Barry Sanders?
Barry.
Randy Moss.
Randy.
Yeah, maybe the greatest quarterback to never win a Super Bowl. Is that possible? Although Jim Kelly was great, but he was better than Jim Kelly. Yeah.
Jim Kelly was, man, that's a sad story.
Oh.
4 in a row.
I know. It's heartbreaking.
I thought you were going to say
You know-
the cancer.
Yeah,
That too.
Yeah.
That too. I should probably take the dip out of my lip.
Also, Junior Seau, Bruce Smith, LaDainian Tomlinson, Tony
Junior
Gonzalez,
never got one.
Oh,
Philip Rivers.
I forgot that.
I played with Junior.
Or Seau. He was a very special person.
He was the nicest guy
Yes.
in the world.
Yes.
Like,
Oh.
I remember we were at Capitol Grill, and my parents just came in. We were about to play in a playoff game, and I was taking them out to dinner on a Friday. This is in December, maybe January. So it's freezing outside.
Yeah.
Junior rolls up in flip-flops, shorts, and he always wore this hat and his ukulele on his back.
Seriously.
Serious, because he used to go to
Wow.
Capitol Grill every, that was
In
his spot.
flip-flops.
Flip-flops.
But-
He's Hawaiian.
Yeah, he grew up in the tropics, and he wasn't bothered by the New
No,
England
this
winter. That's
dude was the most
incredible.
manly man ever.
Wow.
Manly man, but soft-hearted too. And
Yes, that's the way he came off.
he went up to my parents, and we grew up in the Bay Area. There's a lot of Polynesian culture. So
Okay.
I grew up with a lot of Tongans, a lot of Samoans, a lot of Hawaiians. Like, that was part of my football team and my football life.
Oh, that's cool.
So Junior Seau was a god,
Yeah.
in California.
Sure.
Because he was on the Chargers. He did,
Yeah.
the whole
And he
thing.
was a USC guy too. right?
USC guy.
Yeah.
And, I got to play with him, and he came up to my parents, and he goes, Mr. Edelman, I just want to say you raised a very great young man. That's going
Wow.
to play a long time in this league. And this was when I was a rookie, and I was still
Wow.
battling.
That's incredible.
To have Junior Seau, and my dad, he's all shy and stuff. Like,
Yeah.
we watched this guy for a long time. This was his 20th year in the league.
Yeah.
By the time I was playing with them.
But I remember you stood out in the preseason. You were very promising.
Lincoln Financial. That was a big game
Yeah.
because it was Tom's first game back from the ACL.
That's right.
Wes wasn't playing.
That's right.
It's my first game in the NFL.
My word. Any nerves?
Oh, so nervous. I was very nervous. I was a very nervous
Yeah.
because I cared so much.
Of course. Yeah.
You get
Yeah. And so much was you were so invested.
so invested in
Yeah.
especially in that, you're playing for your job. And
Yeah.
you're a 7th round draft pick.
Yeah.
First preseason game.
Yeah.
Welk didn't play, so they started me, and they told me like right before the game. So it was kind of like they test you psychologically and want to see if you can,
Yeah.
can he handle that we're going to tell
Yeah.
him 20 minutes before the game that he's going to have to, because a lot of guys can't, and they want to
No.
see it in the preseason.
Of course.
And first play, it was a kickoff. I went down, I made a tackle, and they put me on kickoff that day. Went and made a tackle. Then the first punt return I took to the house.
That was incredible.
The first play of offense.
Did you think you were dreaming?
I did.
Right?
I was having
because I still have dreams where I score touchdowns.
Oh,
and to do that on that level, because it's more competitive. My word, I can't imagine.
You don't really know either when you're in camp.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of thud. You're not taken to the ground. It's not like college or, guys are hitting.
But if Hard Knocks has shown us anything, it's that you might get cut even after having an incredible game.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right, continue. I'm sorry.
No, but it was just.
You score that, you run back that touchdown.
And then it was Brady's first game, so everyone was kind of like very nervous because the knee thing.
Yeah.
And everyone's kind of on eggshells. Bill wanted to see how we were playing. He wanted to see how Tommy was psychologically, because when you go through injury, that first live contact, when you're getting real bullets, it's different. Sometimes you don't want to stick your foot in. There's a lot of stuff going on.
And it goes back to the eye of the tiger.
Eye of the tiger. First play gives me the swing route. He throws me a little swing. I caught his first ball. I'm like, this is awesome. This is easy.
Really?
And I ended up having a bunch of catches, and I had a good game. And then next week,
there is something to the ignorance of the brand new, right? Where you don't know it could go horrible.
Next week it's against Atlanta, and I'm still like on the verge of making the team. Like, I housed a punt, and I had a lot of production in the first game. I had a tackle.
Yeah,
but we had like Randy Moss, Wes Welker, Joey Galloway. Like, there's a numbers game of how many guys are on the team.
Yeah. Wow.
And so the next week I go and I'm returning a punt, and I shake off a guy, and another guy comes in, and my foot gets caught, and I sprain my ankle. I get a high ankle sprain.
The worst.
The first play. The first play that I got in, and I was out for 3 weeks, and that's during cut period. And I'm sitting there stressed out, like, I don't know if I had enough. It's short-term memory with these guys. That was 4 weeks ago.
Yeah, next up.
And, Billy O'Brien was our OC at the time.
I knew him in high school,
Did you?
He went to St. John's Prep.
How was he?
Can I tell the truth?
Yes.
He was an arrogant prick.
He was an arrogant prick?
In high school.
I mean, Billy O's a fiery guy.
Here's the thing. I went to the public school. He went to the private school, St. John's Prep, so I resented him to begin with. And then when he wasn't friendly to me, I was like, fuck this guy.
No. Yeah, he can come on. We used to call him Tea Kettle.
But I knew his wife in college. I was friends with Colleen, who was the sweetest woman. So I'm talking about how he was in high school, which a lot of football players are assholes in high school. So I'm sure he changed. But what was I?
No, he hasn't really.
Okay.
No, he.
All right.
He's like that asshole you like, though.
Yeah. No, of course. I will say this: I respected him, and I knew how hard he worked as a player because he went to Brown. Yeah, and then he was a smart guy, and he was serious. So I liked that. But I just I don't know. It was probably two teenage boys who were like,
give those vibes.
Yeah. But we had a mutual friend who played with me at Boston College. That this guy Mike Panos, who I don't know if you met him, you'd remember him. He's very charming. Yeah. Anyhow, so you're in camp, and the 3 week injury,
and he comes up to me in the whole week of, because cut day there's a Friday and then there's a week off.
Yeah.
Where you establish a team, and it's like the Turks in there just taking lives. Wow. Hey, coach wants to see you, get your playbook. You're sitting in the locker room and guys are just getting plucked.
Of course.
So, Billy O was messing with me like, hey, I heard Buffalo's got a good third corner. Meaning like I was making the team.
Yeah.
But I don't know if you're making the team yet. And I was sitting there I'm like a little kid. I'm fucking 22 years old.
Yeah.
And finally, I went home, and I was sitting there by my phone the whole time because they'll still call you when you go home. And I never got the call.
Amazing. So how did you find out that just by not getting the call?
That's the worst.
That's worse.
Is that not even worse?
Yeah.
At least call me. Tell me if I'm making it.
Totally.
No, they don't.
Wow.
You just come in and you just...
Was there anybody who was the opposite of that, who was saying, keep doing what you're doing? I remember my friend Mike Power was in the Houston Oilers, and Warren Moon took him under his wing and said, you keep making those out passes because nobody else can make those ones to the sideline from the pocket. and you keep making those, you're going to stand out. And so he made it very far in the cuts. But was there anybody who was like that?
Fred Taylor.
Really?
Remember Fred Taylor?
Yeah, of course.
So I didn't have a car yet, and there'd be for training camp, there'd be a 6 o'clock bus that you could take from the team hotel to the stadium. And so I'm sitting on the curb waiting for the bus, and Freddie T rolled out, and he has a cool old like dope car, and he's like, "Yo, young buck, come with me."
Nice.
And he brings me in there, and he could see that I'm stressed because it's such day to day. There was 2 practices a day when I first started. You had double days. You had run game in the morning, pass in the afternoon. So you have like 2 practices that you're thinking about going into the next day, because then you have to correct everything. Am I going to get cut? I didn't make that block. I didn't make that this. So he could see that I was going through my head. I was,
right.
And he's in a different part of his career where, he's on the back 9.
Yeah.
He's already a superstar.
Right.
And he gets me in the car and he goes, "Hey, young buck, there's a lot of ups. There's a lot of downs. You just got to be smooth and you'll be all right."
Wow.
That's all he said. He was a very, very, meant a few words.
Yeah.
That's all he said. And then we sat and he started taking me to practice a bunch. And, but that's what I thought about. Like, all right, don't get too high on the highs. Don't get too low on the lows.
Yeah.
It's just kind of.
But there's something about somebody with your personality and drive and humility that people want to look out for, because that makes for a good teammate and for a good person in the locker room to hang around with, somebody who's not going to be in the ego. And so that's a really great lesson. And you want to be that. You want to be for the rest of your life. You want to be the Fred Taylor to somebody's Julian Edelman.
Well, and that's there were other players on the team, that weren't like that.
Sure.
Because, this is a blood world.
No, of course.
There's guys there like, "Hey, you're here to take a spot." That wouldn't help. And that's once I got to where I was at, and I established a role and had some success. I'd always be tough with the young guys because that was when I got there. Everyone, the whole Patriot way was like making guys accountable.
Right. Yeah. Of course, you're doing them a favor.
You see Teddy Bruschi working his dick off.
Yeah.
And if you're not, he's going to tell you you're not.
Wow.
And if you hear that from him, you're going to be humiliated the whole day.
Wow.
You know what I mean? So like, I would handle it where I would call guys out, but I would always pull them aside. Like Jacoby Myers, like he was a young player. He was an undrafted guy, and I saw that he could play.
Yeah.
He just needed, so I'd always bring him to the side, and I'd be like, "Yo, don't worry about that. They're bitching on this. You just got to do this."
Awesome,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you know what he's going through.
Yeah.
But if there's some little arrogant asshole that comes up in your room,
of course. Yeah.
There was a few of those where I'd say, "Hey, bro, coach
they
ain't
don't
asking you
last.
a question.
Yeah.
Don't fucking talk in the room."
Wow.
You know what I mean? Like, let us get our work in.
Yeah.
Because there's some guys that are trying to be hands up, coach.
Yeah.
Like
entertainers. Yeah.
You do that, you're kind of showing off the other rookie.
Yep.
That probably doesn't know what's going on. So don't fucking call it out to make that you're doing good because it's showing that he ain't doing good.
Oh wow.
There's a whole dynamic in that thing. So,
man,
but
that's fascinating.
Anyone take you under your wing during comedy?
Oh yeah, there were so many older guys, and even now, I mean, he's not that much older than me, but Judd Apatow has been such a great mentor and guide. I remember after my special aired, he called me up and he said, "You're feeling hungover right now, like let down, and what else is there?" And he said, "You can get right out there and try to do even better and chase that high all over again, but it's a treadmill that you'll never get off of. The only thing that we really have that's real is our friends and our colleagues in this and our families.
Yeah.
And chasing after fame and that lifestyle is a dead end." And I remember that was so helpful because I didn't think there was anybody else who could have said that you're feeling off after something so great happening on HBO and the premiere and all the promotion that you do and the interviews, and somebody saying, "And you don't feel that good right now," when everybody's telling you should feel so good. That's normal. And don't try to feel good right away. You don't have to outdo yourself. You just have to continue to do whatever you do to get out of bed and work hard every day, but you don't have to please the world and sort of there's this thing with fame, and I have friends who are involved in just having to stoke that fire all the time and keeping the public eye in it, and it's relentless, and it's you have to have a really strong head on your shoulders to be able to maintain your integrity and your personality through that. And I've heard it compared to looking straight into, I think Tom Hanks said, fame, you don't want to look it right in the eye like the sun. It can
burn you,
damage you. And I remember this author that I like, John Updike, said that this fame is this mask that changes your face, or burns your face, or something like that. And it's a double-edged sword. It affords us these incredible opportunities, but it can also be poisonous.
It can be.
Yeah.
And I can relate to that from when we go out and win Super Bowls.
Yeah.
Like my close group around me.
Yeah.
Like you have your people that see the real you always, because when you're a person under a microscope, you're having to be on always.
Yeah.
Especially when you leave the house for anyone. You're at the gas station and this, that. But I would get into these, like, we would call it the Super Bowl Saddys.
Oh, wow.
Because you go all year.
Yeah.
For that one goal, and you would achieve that goal, and like you're already thinking about the next year and how much harder it's going to be to attain that goal again, because whenever you have success, now you're America's Most Wanted.
Yeah.
They're going to play their hardest. There's a lot more studying going into your game. People are watching you more. They want to see if you could do. So like, there's those expectations and those standards that you're sitting there like, man, fuck, we got to do it again now. You know what I mean?
And there are only 3 or 4 people on the planet who understand how you're feeling. You can't go to anybody and say, oh, I won the Super Bowl last week. I'm kind of feeling kind of glum.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. Wow.
And then you feel bad because you're not happy because you just went
out.
Yeah,
of course.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's
you
guilt
feel
involved.
bad because like, am I just a miserable fuck?
No, not at all. You're a human being. Yeah.
Gary, do you think if you played football in like now generation that you would have, or sports in general, would have kind of stuck with it further, like with how people in mental health is a little bit more open in sports now?
Yeah, it's interesting. It's possible. The only thing is that I think that in order for me to have succeeded, I needed to get that confidence that Julian was talking about earlier, and that was a big. What was interesting was when I stopped playing football and went to the coach, he insisted that I stick it out, and I was like, but I'm like the worst player on the team. But there's something to depression that is telling you're the worst player on the team, and so without that aspect, the confidence and physically I could jump higher, run faster than everyone at the tight end position, but mentally I felt like a grasshopper. That I was incompetent, I was incapable, and I would get overwhelmed, and I would one of the things, I don't know if this ever happened to you, but I would get to the line of scrimmage knowing the snap count and then fuck it up because I was so anxious, and we'd have to run and everybody, and I was like, look at me, I'm incompetent, and it builds on itself, and I think so it's possible that there's a universe where I was able to get my confidence back and feel that way, but I think it was more likely that I made an informed decision. I don't know. I still have dreams about it. It's funny, at 53, I still have dreams about things that happened when I was 18 or 19 years old, and they have better results.
No, it's a different generation. I worked with a sports therapist when I was going.
That was like in its infancy when I was playing, and I did have a really good therapist at the college who had worked with other athletes.
Yeah,
and it was literally a lifesaver.
I used to work with, I think, someone in college, and then I was having some stuff go on off the field that was starting to like mess with my game.
Oh wow!
You know what I mean? Like, because you're thinking about this,
Yeah, of course.
that.
Yeah.
And so then that's when I started seeing a therapist in Providence. I go over that like the oldest ward in the country. What's it called? That one over in Providence?
Oh, I don't know, but
There's like
near
an old
Federal
one. It was
Hill?
scary every time I went because it
Oh,
was always
really?
dark.
Oh, wow.
But I go see my doc over there, and it helped me because it just allowed me to open up, and it was it was in infancy in the league at that time. I was
Sure.
the only guy in the team doing it.
Wow.
And now it's there's a lot more resources
Yeah.
because of the information.
Right.
So I needed someone to help me. Even I come off sometimes as a confident, strong. Everyone needs someone.
No, of course.
And
Yeah.
it doesn't have
No,
to
I
be a
think
therapist.
I
Could be
think
a
it's-
friend. It could
yeah.
be, but it just got to be someone
Yeah.
that you can bounce.
And for a
shit
long
off of.
time, I'm sure your father was part of that.
That was my
dad. Yeah.
That was my dad.
Yeah.
It was just different practices.
Well, you and your dad talk to a rabbi weekly now too.
Yeah, we speak to our
No
rabbi,
way. What's your rabbi's name?
Rabbi Hamilton.
Oh, wow. What a great Hollywood
Yeah.
Rabbi Hamilton.
William
That's
Hamilton.
That's amazing.
Out of Boston.
I have a very close friend who's a rabbi, and man, I can talk to them for hours. Right? They know everything.
Knows everything.
And they're also so informed about other religions and philosophies.
They are.
And history, and it's they're really special people and resources for great wisdom.
Great wisdom and great perspective.
Yes. Yes.
We study the Torah, and we'll take he'll have his little, his passages and what we're going over each week and educate each other, but he'd be able to break it down.
That's wonderful. And what a great time in life to explore that. Because for me, it was from the time I was 8 until 13.
Yeah.
And I couldn't appreciate what I was being given. I mean, I did enjoy a lot of the history lessons and a lot of the rituals and things like that. But also I wanted to look out the window and be outside a lot during Hebrew school. But I think it's so incredibly valuable to have the lessons in faith at this point in our lives.
Definitely.
When we're grappling with, especially as a dad.
You're more interested now.
Yes.
As a kid.
Yeah, totally. Totally. There's so many
like you
things.
said,
Yeah, you want to be playing at when I was a kid, it was Atari.
Yeah.
Atari 2600.
I saw your bit. Kids playing sports, you're competing with the best video games ever.
Oh yeah.
That one joke.
Yeah.
No.
Oh my gosh.
Well, that was the 1985 AFC Championship game.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. We were here to talk about something. I can't remember what it was.
No. This just gives us an excuse. We wanted to explore you. Come on.
I really appreciate that, man. This is I was so looking forward to this. I didn't want to fanboy out or anything like that, but you've brought me so much joy over the years, and we're such a refreshing personality in New England sports, and I've every interview I've seen you give, and when I was a guest of a friend who was on the Seth Meyers show. And it was right after one of the biggest moments of your life, and you were just so humble and took a picture with me. And I remember thinking, this is a really real guy and a nice guy and a humble guy who is very, very compelling in terms of your personality and the way you came off with Seth and everything like that. You're very lovable.
No, I appreciate that.
Okay.
That's
Well, hopefully you can take it in. I know it's hard for men to appreciate compliments from other men, but
I don't know you that much,
Right.
and here you could tell you have a very contagious. You're warm.
I am
exploring.
I'm a warm, sensitive person. So
Got very
I'm glad
kind
that-
eyes.
We are.
I do have very kind eyes. Kyler, oh my gosh, you guys are great.
Did we miss anything?
Yeah, we got a couple stuff for corrections. I'd be remiss if we don't talk about Tony Franklin, the barefoot cooker that was on this team.
Yeah.
Also, Julian, you mentioned the Red Sox won a World Series in 2003. It was actually 2004.
Four.
Yeah.
Barry Sanders won his Heisman in 1988. And then Tony Eason, he finished second Heisman voting. He lost to Michigan's Anthony Carter, and he earned the nickname Champagne Tony because he did play for the University of Illinois. And then also Dancing with the Stars winners, we had Emmitt Smith, Donald Driver, Hines Ward, and Rashad Jennings.
Jerry didn't get one. Did Jerry not win?
I don't
He got
think Jerry
second?
won.
He was good though.
Wow,
He could cut the rug.
he could really move.
And then one more. In the 1976 Patriots, you mentioned, went 11-3 and lost 24-21 to the Raiders in the divisional round. It was a bad roughing the passer call on the Pats against Kenny Stabler on a 3rd and 18. That was panned as a bad call.
Yeah.
It's become known as the Ben Dreth game.
That was the ref, right? Oh, shit.
Wait, say that again?
What?
The ref game?
It's called the Ben Dreth game. Who was the ref? Because the Patriots lost because of a bad roughing the passer.
In what year?
1976.
Did he murder him?
Probably.
I mean, how do you get a roughing the passer? Like, I've seen some of those hits.
Yeah.
Those hits were gnarly.
Yeah. 1970s sacks.
Jack Lambert, no teeth.
Oh, my
Just
gosh.
forearming people.
He was awesome, man.
He went to Kent State, my school.
Oh, wow. And so did Thurman Munson, right?
I think so.
Yeah. And Billy Crystal?
Billy Crystal, Drew Carey.
Nick Saban.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Who?
Nick Saban.
Nick Saban.
Lou Holtz.
Wow.
Lou Holtz.
Wow.
Michael Keaton. We got Batman.
The National Guard.
They were there
Yeah.
on May 4th, 1970. They were definitely there. Rough one. It used to be the biggest party day, though.
Really?
Yeah, it was like we used to celebrate it.
Oh, yeah. I could see that.
Shermania, they called it.
Oh,
Because there was a street called Sherman Street.
wow.
Shermania on May 4th.
Wow.
Kent State Golden Flashes. So you just wrote your book, a memoir?
Yeah, it's a memoir of kindergarten through 12th grade, and but includes a nice chapter on Hebrew school.
Does it?
Yeah, that I think you would find very, very funny, because my contention is that Hebrew school and then Jewish summer camp is this opportunity for Jewish boys to be around Jewish girls without Gentile boys competing for their love. So that so it's like the Jewish boys were able to stand out a little bit and get run the bases a little bit easier.
Hey. Sometimes you gotta load the deck.
I got one last point too on the one last point. So I had the pleasure of screening your special that's streaming now on Max. When we release it, it'll be streaming.
Yeah, no, I get it.
And
I can play that game.
you talk a lot about the lack of Jewish hockey players in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
And as a hockey player myself and a general well-wisher of the Jewish people, I'd be remiss if I didn't call out some amazing young Jews that are playing in the NHL right now.
No, I agree, but I will say that I was talking in 1978. Now they're the Hughes brothers. Are really special.
And Adam Fox won the
and Adam Fox. These guys will probably make the Hall of Fame and make my joke dated. But I was talking in 1978 to my dad, and I was playing hockey, and he said, "Let's see how many Jewish players there are in the Hockey Hall of Fame, because as a Jew, we really cling to the athletes who stand out, the Sandy Koufaxes and the Hank Greenbergs and the Julian Edelmans and the Dolph Schazes." And so my dad said, "Okay, there are 0 Jewish players in the Hockey Hall of Fame." And he said, "Just for a point of comparison, Gar, more Jews have been the Messiah than have made the Hockey Hall of Fame." He said, "You're more likely to walk on water than you are to skate on it, holding the Stanley Cup."
So we know where you got your comedic.
My dad was
talent.
My dad was very.
That's a good joke.
It was a good joke. My dad was a very good laugher, also, which helped. My dad, I think nobody would be more prouder of me than my dad. Phil Gulman was a really special guy. He was a very kind, affectionate, generous man who really believed in his son. So yeah.
Well, it sounds like a mensch.
He was really a mensch. Yes, the true definition of a mensch. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I was really.
I love
fortunate.
dad son.
Yeah.
Talk.
Yeah.
I got a good dad. Now we got a segment. Let's segue this bad boy to the scoring the game presented by WinBet. The name of the game is Squish the Fish. We go through and we grade the stake, star power, gameplay name, and we total up. We get the average and we see where it ranks within the games that we've done already, Gary.
Okay.
So the stakes of this game, this is to go to the Super Bowl, 0 to 10 decimals. All right. What do you think we should give this?
I think it's an 8.8.
8.8.
Yeah.
It's a very fair. See, that's another thing that I felt about you. You're a fair man.
Yeah, this is a team that never made the Super Bowl and had never won in this stadium in 18 years. That's a generation, I think, in some cultures.
Yeah, that's a very honest answer, great answer. Because we did have potentially maybe our next president come on here and just start screwing up all the scores. Mark Cuban, we had him.
Oh, wow.
You know he's running right now. Is he running?
We'll see.
That's what it says.
We'll see. I'd watch the spinoff series.
Yeah. And he went on, put everything 10 and ruined the whole scoring program. So we have to. So back to star power.
What was his game?
His was
Mavs Heat.
Game 5.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That was a great game.
Yeah.
Dirk.
It was okay.
Dirty Dirk, second half. Star power in this game, though, Gary.
All right, so we had Dan Marino,
Andre Tippett,
Andre Tippett,
Don Shula.
Don
Don Shula.
It's kind of down the middle. We've done Pro Bowls, 5 Hall of Famers a part of this game.
Right. I mean, you had Hannah, but he didn't have that star power. I mean, it's probably a 72. 7.2.
Very, 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 very fair scoring here.
Yeah.
Very. And gameplay?
Gameplay, I mean, the running game was extraordinary. I think for the Patriots, Marino obviously had a bad game throwing, so I mean, I'll give it overall an 8.0.
8.0. And the name, Squish the Fish.
Well, I mean, in terms of accuracy, it has no accuracy. But what rhymes with mammal that would or
Camel?
Seaman? No, see, it's a verb. We would need a verb to do to the trample the mammal, but that doesn't rhyme. That's maybe a
Trample
slant,
the mammal.
a slant rhyme, but that would have never taken off. But Squish the Fish is very memorable, and the image of
was
Pat
the best.
Patriot destroying the dolphin, which is, I mean, kind of a hate crime when you think of how lovely the dolphin community is, but so
One of
the
the only
name-
mammals that have
the
sex
name-
for fun.
yeah.
One of the other
and
ones.
I'm gonna give it an 8.7 for
8.7.
the name. Yeah.
What is our total? 8.175. Where does it stand in the games?
It fits between the 2011 AFC Divisional Round, the Can't Wait game, Jets Patriots we did with Rich Eisen, and the 2007 Fiesta Bowl, Statue of Liberty game with Boise State, Oklahoma, and the
That's a good game.
Super Bowl
Eisen's a-
27 Cowboys.
Eisen's a lot of fun.
Love Eisen.
Yeah. Julian, who is your closest, longest friend? Like, do you have any friends you were friends with in grade school?
Yeah.
Yeah.
My boy Kurt.
Oh
He
man.
lives out here. He went out. He took a job in Boston. So like my first 7 years there, I was away from everyone out here. And then he moved out there.
Oh, that's
And now he's
awesome.
back in
Oh,
LA.
you must have had a blast.
Yeah, he was.
That's great.
And we became friends. My mom was babysitting his older sister. Before we were born, we became
Wow.
friends. Like
oh, that's
three.
so
Yeah.
special. It's great when you have. I have a friend, my friend Jason Hurwitz. We've been friends since 6th grade, and we have these like setups to jokes. 45 years old,
Oh.
he'll just say a name. Look at somebody who looks like somebody we haven't seen in 40 years.
Language. You guys have language
We have
together.
a language.
Yeah.
Yes, that's the exact right
Full.
way to put it, and I'm so grateful.
I'm in a
Yeah.
text group with like 7, 8 of my friends from high school.
Oh, really?
And
That's
it-
awesome.
We
that's
stay
a great-
pretty connected.
That's a great feeling.
And then also, our generation, I play video games here and there, and that's another way for us to
Yes.
communicate.
Oh, that's
Get
right.
on
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
gets at the headsets. and
Yeah. Oh, that's really cool.
So, I stay close with those guys. And,
That's great to hear.
But now
man.
all your friends are your kids' friends.
Right.
parents. So like,
Oh yeah,
I have-
yeah. I've heard about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just hold back until you. No. Yeah.
We miss anything?
Gary, do we miss anything?
No, we didn't miss anything. I think
got a
I got across my admiration for Julian, and you lived up to every expectation I had in terms of your hangout ability, and you're the real deal, man. So don't
So are you, man. I
change
love
that. Plug Born on Third Base is now streaming on Max, and then my book Misfit. This is great. This is an excellent podcast. I'm so honored and grateful that you had me on. So you say thank you, Gary. I say thank you, Julian, Kyler, Leah. Sorry, Leah. How do I forget the princess?
Princess Leia.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gary. Well, that was a good episode.
I wasn't there for the interview, but man, y'all killed it. Kyler met his new best friend. These guys hit it off.
A little bit of a fanboy on Gary.
I feel like my heart got warmer.
It's very kind.
Nice guy.
I feel
Funny
like
guy.
I just got shot in the heart with careness. I don't know, man. He kept on giving me the eyes of like he didn't want to get. I've seen his act. Okay, we all know Gary Gulman. Okay, he's the self-defeat. I saw that, and he like didn't want to turn it on for me.
Oh man,
He wanted to be strong.
He wanted to be, but then it made me vulnerable.
Low-key therapy session for a few minutes there.
I felt like the vulnerability clicked together.
I loved it.
And as you know, we have the hotline up and running. 424-291-2290. Hit me on the, what's the Drake?
Hotline Bling.
Hotline Bling.
And then there's also Pretty Ricky, a lesser known one that was on the hotline. Remember that one? Yeah. Pretty Ricky.
And this week, Pretty Ricky. This week, we are checking our messages for suggestions on what you all think we should name the studio.
We're casting a wide net here. You can comment, IG, Twitter, YouTube, everywhere. You
TikTok.
can call in, of course. TikTok, anywhere. I'm scouring the comments. So first and foremost, we'll kick this off with some suggestions from the comment section. First, we got the Gladiator Studio from RD6 Hawk.
RD?
599.
These
Gladiator.
That just brought me back to like Dayball walking down the hallway. He always try to get you the D's nuts comment.
Dayball was a D's nuts guy?
Full D's nuts.
Wow.
Makes
me like him even
We're
more.
preparing for the AFC Championship. I'm not trying to talk about D's nuts.
Dude, he just gets cooler and cooler.
And then Chris Long would get up involved. He was also he'd be like, "Hey, you heard about Jamal?" I'm like, "What are you talking about? Who? Jamal who? Can I jam all this cock in your mouth?"
Dude, I can't even go to Wendy's anymore with the boys. Oh, you like Wendy's? Wendy's nuts go in your mouth, you know?
I've heard them all. What was another, whatever. Let's keep going on the Edelman.
The Edelman from Buck Honcho. That was in the YouTube comments. I like that. That's got a good ring to it.
Yeah.
We got the film room from Cole Miller 3934.
I feel like that's been used for
a little
many.
down the middle, straight line, but we do watch film in here.
Yeah, this film room.
The House of Jewels
House of Jewels
is solid. That could almost just be, that could apply to the entire.
That's Jess Little 7110.
Shout out Jess Little. I like that one. I like
Spit
that one.
Pit's kind of good.
The Spit Pit is pretty good from Clima 1.5 chains.
Clima?
What do we?
Clima?
What is? Explain this. Explain the spit pit to me. Like we're spitting. What's happening here?
I think we're dipping, baby.
Oh,
We're dipping and spitting, baby.
there we go.
Hey, we do not recommend this for any of our users. This is a terrible habit. This is a PSD or
You're self-medicating.
PSA. This is an after school special,
I thought you
baby.
were saying PTSD.
no. This is a
Too many
PSA
letters.
on not picking up bad habits. So all you kids out there, this is bubble gum.
And then Kyler and I think all of us here in the room gotta put our brains together and
The Brojo?
the Brojo that's been used when Dola's he's a Brojo guy.
We used to call the ping pong room downstairs of his house that was
like that.
unfinished. We've already talked about this, I think, on this podcast,
Yes.
but it was unfinished. And I kid you not, there was probably 300 tins of Copenhagen just thrown out.
Bubblegum.
Bubblegum. And we would that was the real spit pit. We'd be spitting because it was unfinished. It was all cement. It was like we were in Russia.
The best memories are
Playing
made
crazy
in unfinished
ping pong,
basements.
spitting on the walls, sweat, a little freaking Bose fucking speaker.
Feet just sticking to the floor.
No, we were sliding. It was
you were
kind of
slipping and
clay
sliding
because
everywhere?
it was cement with
It's like
like
the French Open.
yeah, it was a little clay. It was
Nadal.
cement, but there was so much dust and dirt that you would slide right on it. You know what I mean? It was fun.
Oh my god!
Let's get back to the.
Let's save the
brainstorm.
Brojo. We'll save the Brojo for unfinished basement.
We got the game room.
They got the game room, a little down
the middle, but yeah.
This one from our man Asaf, the Judio instead of the studio.
The Judio.
It's a little
Kinda tight.
polarizing.
JEW, a little polarized.
Kind of tight.
Kind of
Right.
tight. The room where Jules dominates in pool. Still have yet to get a dub off you, brother.
Yeah, but I'm not the dominant.
That's a
I
little
need
wordy.
to. If anyone's out there listening, I actually want to hire a pool coach. Okay, I'm coachable. Sometimes I'm on, and then sometimes I'm off. I don't know where I'm hitting it on the ball correctly or if I am. Sometimes I'm dialed.
Yeah,
But
you got
it's
the
too
angles, bro.
inconsistent, and I don't know my mistake from when I hit my mistake, so then I can't make a correction in my head. So pool people out there, hit me up in the DMs. Need a pool coach.
Is the Black Widow as a listener? Come over.
I said that last night, did I not?
Black
Widow.
Dude, tight.
She rocks.
But also, I think the real reason this is happening because Kurt, Jules' friend, has been stepping his game up significantly.
Ooh.
He's been running the table.
Yeah,
I
I
think
didn't run
Jules
the
has got
table.
a
We
little-
split last night.
A little bit
Dirty
competitive.
boy.
All right, you want to hear?
Casa
Let's,
de la Rosa.
Casa de la Rosa.
Casa de la Rosa.
all right, let's hear some of
Spring
these from the
2024 line dropping soon.
Interior designs, guys.
All right, let's crack open some of these voice notes.
Let's hear these voice notes.
First off, Jules, thank you for everything you've done in New England. But I see you need a name for your studio, and I think the best option for you is Edelman's Nut House. So if that's an option, you guys go with that. At least give me a shout out on air. But hey, Jules, thank you for everything you've done, man. You have been an absolute icon in New England, a god amongst men, some will say. So thank you, Julian, for everything you put on the field, everything you sacrificed for. Some of us just wish you were still out there trying to make our team a little bit better. But yeah, Edelman's Nut House. What you need to do.
Jack, will you stop having your friends calling?
That was not my boy, I swear.
Hey,
That glazing was crazy, Bill. He
Hold
was
on.
glazing you up, bro.
But the real takeaway, Nut House. Nut House.
Nut House is decent. Edelnut's Nut House sounds like it could be a good franchisable restaurant, too.
it is kind of nutty in here. With
It
the,
is.
with the
A lot
the
of wood
cedar.
tones. There's a lot of wood tones.
I mean, if you were to cut into like a middle of a nut, and like like those old like cartoons where they go in like the brain and like you see, I don't know which one was that. There was some, I don't know.
Yeah,
But
well,
regardless,
Osmosis
this
Jones.
is
It
what
was
it
before
would
that.
look like probably in the middle of a nut.
It would. Yes.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I like that one. We'll consider
What's that
one for
guy's
sure.
name?
He didn't leave one.
He didn't leave one.
Well, shout out to that guy.
That glazer.
He asked for a shout out. I can't give you a shout out. You know.
Hey, yeah, this is Gustavo Figueroa Zapata. I'm from Texas.
Gustavo's
a
father.
great name for the studio would be the Outhouse because you're gonna talking shit, spin the shit, talking about the old shit, the new shit, every shit, all the shit. Fuck it. That's how it's supposed to be. Especially when you're tired, you're chilling on it. Your dad or your uncle, brother, son, whatever, always is a good place to go talk the shit. Also known as the Outhouse. Yeah.
Outhouse, not bad.
Dude, Gustavo bringing the heat. The Outhouse is pretty
Gustavo's
cool.
father.
I like this guy.
That's a internet transcription. They're not perfect.
Oh, okay.
We haven't got to a final form with AI yet.
I like thinking that it is Gustavo's father, though. This guy rocks. The Outhouse is
Then
cool.
who's Gustavo?
The Outhouse.
I don't know. Fuck, yeah. I don't know.
Outhouse is fun.
Gustav. Isn't that the guy from Beauty and the Beast?
Gustav.
Gustav. All right, let's hit another one. Gustavo's father. Good one. Outhouse.
Hey, Jules, big fan, man. Big fan. Appreciate it. Appreciate you a lot. Recommendation for your new studio. I mean, you are the squirrel, like Squirrel Man. So I would probably recommend the Squirrel Cave, like Bat Cave. Just a thought.
Squirrel
Appreciate
Cave.
it. Later.
I like it. Squirrel Cave.
I like it.
Squirrels don't live in caves.
Yeah, it's a little clunky too.
Okay, but hey, Batman had a cave. But bats live in caves.
What do squirrels live in?
Trees.
Treehouse?
The squirrel treehouse.
Squirrel treehouse? The tree house?
We do look woody. It could be the
do look
treehouse.
woody.
If you cut
The
a
tree
tree,
house.
like we could be in a big tree in here. Like all this wood grain. The light's coming through little holes.
We might be onto something here.
That will gain dash, man.
All right, let's do another one.
Hey, fellas. Love to see that we're back. Name for the studio, I feel like if we're not calling it the Hall of Games, then we're doing ourselves a disservice here. This is Phil from New Hampshire. Love you, Jules.
What did he say?
Hall
Love you,
of
Jules.
Games.
I didn't hear that.
The Hall of Games.
The Hall of Games.
It's regal.
Some would say too regal.
I was going to say.
It's like a wing in Canton. The Hall of Games.
Let the boy watch.
The boy watch.
In the Hall of Games.
Okay, well that's what we got. So
That's some good stuff. Appreciate the calls.
Yeah.
Let's kind of whittle it down to 3 and maybe put a Twitter poll or Insta poll. What are we thinking?
Maybe 5.
5.
5. Okay. Okay. If it's 5, Nut House.
Nut House is up there. Gustavo's
Nut House.
father.
It's got a double meaning.
The outhouse.
Because we are nutty.
What did he say? Edelnut Nut House?
Edelnuts Nut House. Those would be good on T-shirts, I feel like.
Just go Nut House.
Okay.
Simplify it.
I like the Spit Pit.
Spit Pit's good.
Spit Pit.
Sneaky good.
Edelden's good.
Edelden.
Hall of Games. You got to give one boring straight line.
We'll give him Regal.
The Judio.
The Julian.
A soft. Yeah, we got to give a softs in there, too. All right. Stay tuned for the poll soon.
Stay tuned for the poll. Leave comments.
The
all
House
that
of
shit.
Jewels. I like it. I like the suggestion. It just reminds me too much of the Family Jewels.
I know.
That's
You probably heard that a million times.
So many, every little kid used to think they were so funny when I first meet him. And I'd be like, hey, my name's Julian. People call me Jules. And I'd be like, Family Jewels. Like, what the fuck?
God.
Yeah, dude, Family Jewels. I'm like balls.
Got him.
Well, what an episode. Thanks again to Gary. That was a fun episode. It was awesome to get to know him a little bit. And that's been another episode of Games with Names presented by WinBet. Remember to follow Games with Names on YouTube, Instagram, X, TikTok, and Snapchat. We will see you all next week, guys. Games with Names is a production of iHeartRadio. For more podcasts from iHeartRadio, visit the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.